What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I am Love Coach Scott Katamas. I'm your host, and this is the Saturday night edition of the Global Peace Tribe coming to you on the Awakening World. You know, this is a very special time. 3 years ago, we were just entering a pandemic, and I was going to be doing a fundraising event with Deborah Giusti for our good friend Fantuzzi, and we had to do something different because all of a sudden social distancing and all of that. So we decided to do an online show on Saturday night. I think it was April 3rd. It was the first Saturday in April. And that grew into Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe, which grew into what we've been doing 500 shows later. And one of the very first people who was a big part of what we did is the great Ken Kaufman, my old buddy. And Kenny came on as co-host. And so Ken and Deborah and I, every week, we're putting together more and more shows. And Ken found we did a lot of fundraising back then, and Ken brought in all these different nonprofit organizations. He brought on a lot of his friends. And so here we are 3 years later, Ken. And tonight we are celebrating and previewing the New Living Expo. And Ken is the founder of the New Living Expo. And so, Ken, tell us a little bit about the show that's coming up.
Scott, you know, it's going back 3 years. It does seem like it seems like a lot longer, but it goes by fast, and it's amazing that we're still people wearing masks and paranoid about COVID. And my mother just got COVID last week for the first time in years, so it's still around, but it's it just doesn't want to go away. And the fact that we get to do this. And you kept it going for all these years. My God, what an ordeal. I know Deborah was so involved at the beginning, and it was such a tiresome, ruling out every week different shows, and it was just too much. So, I mean, you carried the torch, and I'm the same way with the Expo. After Whole Life Expo in '98, which I sold it, and then two owners later, and 3 years later, I started New Living Expo, and 20 years later. And last year, for several years, we didn't have a show. Now we finally get to have a show, and I get to bring in some new speakers, new venue, new speakers. Marin Civic Center at the, at the Embassy Suites, the two venues. The first time we've had a real hotel with real speaker rooms with walls. It's going to be amazing. We've got Caroline Casey here tonight, Caroline Corey here tonight, and Danny Sheehan, and Kimberly Meredith will be here later, and we've got a lot of
John Gray.
And John Gray, of course, celebrity John Gray. My God, who hasn't heard of him? So we've got a lot of good people that we're bringing together. And my goal for this year was that since it's a new venue, I wanted to have a lot of new speakers. And I was able to accomplish that, and it works. And I just keep on working it. And as they say, it works if you work it, and I am. We do have a special tonight. If you write down NLE6 and you want to buy a general admission ticket, that will get you $5 off on the website of the Marin Center, since they're selling a general admission ticket. So it's NLE6 is the code. Use that for the next, until the show, through the show, actually, that code will work. Yeah, I'm just super excited. Later on, we'll have Daniel, my assistant, coming on and talking about what he's created outside as a free event to bring in lots and lots of new people. So great honor to be here. Great honor to be part of this again 3 years later. What an honor. Thanks, Scott.
And I'm going to take people briefly to your website, just where you can kind of see, look at all the amazing people he's got lined up. Matt Kahn is going to be at his expo. Of course, our good friend Tangela, who is a regular on our show, regular co-host, in fact. And they could, you know who else is going to be there, everybody? Our favorite people, the Twin Ray. The Twin Ray are going to be at the New Living Expo. So I know a lot of you have been wanting to come in and meet them in person. Come to San Rafael. I'll be there. I'll be introducing them and their presentations. So it's amazing. You've got Matt Kahn and the Twin Ray and John Gray and a lot of new people, like you said, a lot of the people that maybe we don't know their names, but you do a lot of careful selection. And I know you've got some really remarkable people.
And also the dates are next weekend, April 14, 15, 16, in case, there you go.
Yep, and it's at the Marin Center in San Rafael. So it's really easy to get there for anybody in the Bay Area. And of course, we're going to be learning all about it throughout the show tonight. Tonight is dedicated to getting as many of you as possible tuned into the New Living Expo. You know, Ken, one of the things that shifted since you were working with us is I have a co-pilot, and he's fantastic. And his name is Omashar. He always starts us off with great music. We were all just together at the Global Peace Tribe Retreat in Los Angeles. And welcome, Omashar.
Namaste and aloha, everybody. What a beautiful lineup of guests we have tonight. As always, just such an amazing surprise. So I'm going to start us off with a song, and it's called Total Surrender, which basically means thy will, not my will. You know that one, Scott, don't you? So,
Oh, yeah.
In the event of a terminal day, I would turn to you. I would say, please help me. Help me see through this illusion. The tears would fall, my knees would bend. I'd lift my hands up to the heavens. Help me out of this illusion. My trust is in you, my faith is strong. I hear the call, it won't be long before sunrise, the light of a brand new day. I hear you say, give me total surrender. I'm coming your way. Came with me out of the mist of fire. starry eyes are burning bright. I trust you. Now I know the reason why. I hear you say, give me total surrender. I'm coming your way. I need total surrender. There's no compromise with total surrender. So come dry your eyes, give me total surrender. Oh,
Total surrender.
And I've got, thank you. I just wanted to keep the camera on those of you who are dancing and moving. And Eleanor, sure, you had an extra critter with you.
I know, right?
I love it. It's growing and expanding. We got Wowza with us. And that's a new song, right, Omashar?
Well, they're all new songs in this moment.
Right.
They're ever evolving because I'm putting more and more rhythm into them because so many people are dancing and it just brings me so much joy. So thank us all.
Thank you. And we'll have more Omashar coming up in the show. And I also want to introduce, we have one of my favorite co-hosts, all the way from Palm Springs. You can tell by the tan. And she has a new name. This is Morea Love. You remember her from before as Krista, but she is now bringing Morea Love into our life. And great to have you with us. Thank you so much.
I love co-hosting, Scott, and I love the tribe so much. It's always great and such an honor to be here. And yeah, Morea, bringer of more light. So let's just bring as much light as possible tonight, just shining upon the upcoming New Living Expo. And Ken, you know, your vision for this event. It's going to be my first time attending. I'm just so excited, and it's going to be such a highlight of my spring. So can't wait to be there with you and all these amazing speakers and healers and get the preview tonight. Here we go.
All right. And by the way, she's going to be taking all the questions. So if you've got questions or comments, pop them in for everybody to read, or you can send them directly to Morea, and she'll let us know what's going on with the show. You look so tan and I look so pale all of a sudden. I gotta get the sun.
Yeah. I got a little sun, did a little hiking the last few days. It felt great. You know, after, you know, I think most everywhere, even California has had a lot of cloudy, cool days this winter. So it feels good that the sun is shining.
You look great. All right, I'm going
Thank
to turn it over to Ken to introduce our first presenter.
Well, thank you for creating more love for everybody. That's always more needed. So our first guest tonight, never been to the New Living Expo before, but always been on our hot list, is Caroline Corey. She is an award-winning filmmaker, author, and founder of Omnion Method of Consciousness Studies. Corey has been numerous UFO encounters, ESP, extrasensory, and paranormal experiences, which led to her become deeply connected to spirituality, the study of consciousness, and mechanics of the universe. In 2008, she continues to lecture and coach internationally and appears regularly as a guest expert on supernatural phenomena at major conferences and television shows, including such popular series as The Unexplained and with William Shatner, Ancient Aliens, and History's Greatest Mysteries. Her latest films, among us, Superhuman, The Invisible Made Visible, and a Tear in the Sky. And she's going to be talking for a few minutes here and just tell us a little bit about it. And I'm just so glad that people who can't make it to the show get a nice little taste of what the Movement Expo is about without having to attend. So here's your virtual experience. Thank you.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for the intro, Scott. Hi, everybody. This is so awesome. You know, I've been wanting to do this conference for a long time, right, Ken? Because I have a lot of friends in the Bay Area, so I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone in person. If you are listening, you should be there finally in person. We're so close to you. So I'm very, very excited. And also what I'm going to be talking about, which I feel is very timely. I'll be on a panel. We're going to talk about UFOs and extraterrestrial intelligence and disclosure and this whole really exciting topics. But my talk is going to be on identifying your lineage, your cosmic lineage. I bet that most people listening, if not everyone listening, feels that you don't belong, you came from the stars. And so the idea is to be able to retrace your lineage back to your original essence. And so there's a lot of children that I meet that remember their past life on a different planet. And things like that. So there's a lot of truth to this. And I feel this has to do with your real awakening. Because when I was 5 years old, I had this experience where I suddenly felt connected to this group of beings. I realized I could see them, hear them, sense them. I could, literally see the fabric of space that connected us both. And the most important thing that I took from that experience is I understood that I was on this side of the veil in physical form, and they were my lineage, my cosmic lineage. And as I followed that stream of consciousness, I was able to literally see exactly my original home. And I was able to experience my original being. And so that was so important because that aspect of my being is the one that knows everything that this human Caroline is doing right now, is supposed to be doing. Who am I? What is my higher purpose? What is my next thing that I'm supposed to manifest, you see? So that's the reason why understanding your cosmic lineage is not just about, hey, I talk to Pleiadians and I think I'm from the Pleiades and I incarnated as an Arcturian after that, and that's it. It's really about opening up to that original essence as you were already or originally created. And then when you do that, not only you have clarity on where you're going and your purpose, but you start to become that aspect of your being. Your entire universal aspect starts to come across through everything that you think, say, or do. So your whole life will change. And so that's the reason why this is so important to reawaken in this way. So I'm going to talk about this, but I'm also going to lead an experiential exercise so people get to do that and feel it themselves. It's very, very exciting.
I'm a big fan of yours, Caroline. You've been on the show a couple times, and I just always appreciate all that you're bringing to our world. I always remember the video of the kids playing ping pong blindfolded, right? And of course, Tear in the Sky was a groundbreaking film. Now, you've got this new video that you're talking about, and we've got a trailer that we're going to show. Do you want to introduce the trailer?
Yeah, for sure. So this film, actually, I finished it a couple of years ago, but I released it, just for a short time, and it was very limited release. I think it was only on Amazon or something. But recently, my distributor took it on, and now it's available everywhere. And it's very interesting because it's timely. In this film, we actually talk about all those different lineages. And I'm not, by the way, when I talk about lineages, it's not just the typical beings that we hear about, the Pleiadians and the Arcturians and the Gray. It's a lot more. There are certain beings that are universal. They have a massive mass of consciousness that are interacting with us. So I think it's going to stretch your understanding of intelligent life and how you may be connected. So that's why this film, I feel, is going to trigger a lot of memory, of who you are and what you are doing here. It is called Among Us. And we also talk about in the film, basically, when we have a download and we have dreams or abductions, any sort of interaction or communication or a contact experience. So this film talks about all of this, all the way to hybridization, genetic engineering. So it's very, very interesting, and again, connected to your own individual awakening.
Okay, well, here's the trailer for Among Us.
There's quite a few extraterrestrials wandering around the humanoid ones, so we've got them walking amongst us.
They weren't human at all. These were extraterrestrials standing there examining me in the room.
I thought they were very elegant, about 7 feet tall.
They live aboard their spacecraft, which is sort of in Earth's atmosphere.
They would bring me to the planet and introduce me to other kids my age, and we would play together.
And I asked him if I could hold his hand. I wanted to know what it felt like to touch them, and I wanted to know it was real.
So what you do is you take the experiences that people talk about and you operationalize it.
How is this even possible that higher dimensional energies can be downloaded or brought down into our ordinary 4 dimensions of space-time reality?
The quantum wave, which is the description of all nature, instantaneously propagated the consciousness of the Houston handler to the moon.
This is not an American phenomenon. This is not a Western phenomenon. This is a global phenomenon.
There's not only thousands, there's potentially millions of people out there that are living this double life.
They will lead us into telepathic abilities. They will lead us into abilities to heal ourselves, to literally change our body.
DNA treatment number 2. What's interesting is the actual number, the magnitude of the changes that I've been seeing in the past when energy treats the DNA. This is a robust, strong effect.
There are layers of codes. There's thousands of codes layered on top of each other. You touch one part, it touches 10 other parts.
All of this information is actually following lines. It comes through this multidimensional grid system. This means interdimensional information is going to happen instantly in locations like these.
Human DNA in our body can exist as a toroid to bring in higher dimensional energies into our physical body, convert them into electromagnetic fields, which then the body can use to regulate the physiological and biochemical processes associated with healing.
I believe this is the theory of everything.
Wow. Well, I'm going to bring Maria on for a moment. Maria, what do you think of that? What comes up for you?
Well, I had to mute because when I saw the crop circle at the end, it activated my light language. So It definitely is a soul recognition of some sort. And we know, those of us who know that we are not from here, we, obviously really connect to that story and to the truth in this. I mean, it's not a story, it's truth. So, wow, I just want to say, Caroline, how bold for you to really stand in that truth, and also just to lead others in owning that and actually discovering that within themselves as well. And I was just at a resort for a coffee the other day, and I saw a woman walk out to the spa pool, and I took a second look, and I knew she wasn't human. I knew that there was more to her. Of course, I didn't say anything because who knows, but I mean, I just had an immediate recognition. So, I think those of us who are really tuned into this and understand it, we're starting to really recognize each other as well. And of course, we're coming together to create peace and unity and all the things that we're really here to do. So thank you.
Yeah, exactly. It took me a while before I started talking about UFOs and things like that, and being an alien, and but that's why I'm making these films, to encourage people to finally just be who they are. This is the time. And that exactly what you just said, Maria, when people will watch this film, it will trigger their own awakening, their own remembrance. And hopefully they will start to get more and more comfortable to just accept and allow and recognize and discern. And that's how they're going to awaken, who they are and what they're here to do. So I hope everybody watches this. Yes. AmongUsMovie.com.
Here it is. I put it in the chat box. You go to GodsAmongus.com. GodsAmongus.com. We'll get you there. And then when you get there, you can watch the trailer again. There's the background story. And then you can, if further up here, just click Watch Now and look at all the different ways you can watch it. Apple TV, Amazon Prime, YouTube, all the main places have it. So I know that I want to watch that. It's
awesome. And then with people, if the people want to do more work on themselves, I have a lot of sessions and classes, free on my YouTube channel, but also on my main website, carolinecorey.com.
Yeah, absolutely. And when she says she has a lot there, I'm going to take people there. She has over 150 courses available. I mean, she's been one busy little having an earthly experience. And look at how fun some of these are. Mastering Your Guidance System, I Am the Universe, blindfold classes for adults or for kids, Becoming Superhuman, Cosmic Explorations. These are just a few that I'm reading as I look at it. So again, I'll put that link into the chat box. Caroline, it's amazing all that you're doing. Really amazing.
Thanks so much. And you too. I mean, we're in this together. As I was saying, we're all doing our part. So, but I'm very excited to be presenting this and leading an experiential. That's the difference also with my work. I do a lot of experiential. So people aren't just listening and memorizing. They're really feeling. They're going to be able to feel what it's like to have this lineage versus that lineage. So I'm very excited, and I hope everyone comes to this conference. I'm very excited. It's next weekend, right? So it's like around the corner. Yeah. So very excited. Thanks so much.
Carolyn, great to see you. Thanks for being on the show, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Hey, everybody. John Gray is in the house. We're going to hear from one of our favorite authors, and he's a beautiful speaker. But before John, one of our most popular musical artists is Tatiana Speed. And I had lined her up to be on the show. And then she said, Scott, it's Easter weekend. I completely forgot. So what we did was we pre-recorded some audios and some videos. So you're going to get Tatiana Speed, but you're going to get her by video today. And but she's just as delightful as ever. Here's what she has to say. With Tatiana Speed, and I am so grateful to see you again. And you just provide so many wonderful things to our audience. And so we're going to do something different this time. We are going to be playing 3 of your videos while you are, where are you going this weekend?
I will be in the Shuswap, which is a tiny, well, it's a little town called Solista, which is on Shuswap Lake in the interior of BC. And I've got a pretty large clan of family there. It's a magical place. I actually want to eventually do retreats out there and would love to invite you. We've got a beautiful property right on the lake. But my family's quite special. They've been there for 4 generations. We're one of the first settlers that arrived on that land. So that land is very deep in my bones, it feels like. And now on family occasions, there's about 80 to 100 of us that gather around a table and eat. And there's aunties with lots of food, and we have a big dance. And it's a pretty beautiful, rural kind of Canadian family vibe.
Beautiful.
Which is,
so you'll be having Easter with them. And of course, I've watched this video, and the video is beautiful. Now, the horses, the dogs, are they part of the family or are they yours?
They're part of the family. Those are on my aunt's farm. So each year we do this walk from one of my auntie's farms to another, and you pass through deep Canadian wilderness. You see all my aunt's cows and horses and dogs, and one of the dogs is mine, and just lots of cousins. And yeah, it's a beautiful, it's really fun being in that town, actually, because when I drive down the road, it's a small town, and I'll be like, oh, there's my Uncle Dorn. And then I'll drive some more, and I'll see like my Auntie June driving the other direction, and then I'll go into a store, and there'll be some other person I'm related to, and sometimes you want to like dodge them because they're just everywhere. But it's really beautiful. It's a really precious part of my life, and definitely where I got my love and appreciation for nature and the earth and community and the value of deep roots and respect for the land. All my family deeply are attuned with nature. I mean, they're simple. Some of them are, kind of a rural, simple Canadian vibe, but they're all like constantly noticing how the weather is changing, how the land is changing. They're very in tune, and yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, let's take a look at the video.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the end of the first video that kind of sets it up. And now I'm going to play that video for you, which I just downloaded. Here it is. Let's pull it up here. Oops, where'd it go? Also, just a reminder while I'm finding it again, that you can find Tatiana Speed at tatianaspeed.com. That's her website. And okay, here we go. We're going to go to advanced video. And so I love this video because it's just kind of a chance to drop into another world, the world that she's in right now. And it's really sweet, the combination of the music and the visuals. Isn't that sweet? Like what a whole different world that she took us into. And we originally weren't going to play that video, but it was on her YouTube channel and I saw it. And when she explained that that's where she's going to be this weekend, I thought, hey, let's tie it in because Tatiana's family. So we can all kind of relate to where she is for the weekend. Any comments come in, Maria, in our chat box?
Yeah, we had just a few. Ayada was mentioning that her hometown sounds much like her mom's hometown in northern Saskatchewan too, and that she had the chance to spend a lot of time there as a child. So, it is, and I have that same, Midwest roots, small town, upbringing. So it is really, really, to me, it's always warm and fuzzy, and I just love that she brought that, and just it's so relatable to me. And of course, no matter where we're from, I think we all just appreciate, everyone's different backgrounds. And I think that that's just so beautiful that we can bring that uniqueness from each of us to the world. So in our music, wow, just made me kind of want to just take a little nap.
I know,
it
very
felt
relaxed.
so dreamy. I wanted to float away.
Wind us down a little bit. I see Jerry Anderson, our wild monk, says he grew up in a Well, we have a real treat. John Gray is with us. And of course, most of you know John Gray as the amazing author. He's written so many great books. But I first heard him speak at the Worldwide Forgiveness Alliance maybe 10 years ago. And that's when I realized, oh my God, what a beautiful speaker. He was on Saturday Night Live at the Global Peace Tribe several times. And he's going to be one of the keynotes at Kenny's show. So I'm going to bring you on, Kenny, to add a little bit more, and then we're going to bring on John.
Thank you, Scott. And thanks, John, for being a friend and a camaraderie guy to hang out with sometimes. And yeah, we have a good long-term relationship. It's probably 25 years, I think, or something like that. So it's such an honor to have you. I mean, your book, if I mention John Gray and I say women are from Mars and men are from Mars, women are from Venus, got to get it right. If they don't know John Gray, I just mentioned that book. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that book. I mean, how many millions and millions of copies worldwide? It's just phenomenal. I mean, the guy's got so many books and they're all relationship. And if you ever need a relationship expert, I mean, John is the go-to guy for relationships, for supplements, just so many different things. And so, John, you're going to be speaking at 11 o'clock. Kick us off good on Saturday morning. Get a big crowd there, and we're just going to be so elated to have you join us again, nonstop. Every show, John's got to be there. So this time is a little bit of a normal time. So I'll turn it over to you, John, and let you do your thing.
Okay, I'll do my thing. Ken, so nice to see you. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'll be at the New Living Expo, and I guess what I'm going to talk about is relationships in a new living world. What's happened is since I wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, I have gone over to another book beyond Mars and Venus because not everybody has traditional roles. When you have traditional roles and women are primary homemakers and men are primary breadwinners, providers, there's a dynamic that happens of interdependence in the relationship. But that dynamic has changed for many, many people. So I had to update my message of how men and women often misinterpret each other. And I also talk about that quite often, but what happens is our needs shift when the world changes. If you're a woman and you have a baby, you really need someone to help you, to support you. If you don't have a baby, you don't really need anybody to support you. You're sort of free. Well, it turns out that when you need someone and they're there for you, if you're a woman, you have a woman's biology, it produces a tremendous amount of beneficial hormones for a woman's body. What we look at statistically, and these are just things you can look up on the internet, they're very simple. Healthy estrogen levels for a woman tend to be 10 times higher than a man. If her estrogen levels go low, she will also be experiencing stress hormones. So when a woman is stressed, generally her estrogen levels are too low or her progesterone levels are too low. When a man is stressed, it has very little to do with it actually does have something to do with his estrogen levels, but it primarily has to do with testosterone. That's what we call it the male hormone, is that men need, in their bodies, they need to make, not take, taking it will produce big muscles, but it's the difference between making it. For a man's well-being, he needs to be making at a minimum 10 times more than an average woman and 20 to 30 times higher to sustain a romantic relationship. That's why you see as men get older, if they don't have good relationship skills, their testosterone levels will start dropping. We can see statistically in America, testosterone levels are dropping. There's easy research. I just talk about the simple research showing this, but what it finds is that men, if their team is winning, that when they look at their team, that I'm part of that team, I belong. If their team is winning, their testosterone levels will soar. If their team is not winning, they don't. Their estrogen levels will start to go up. Now, what's significant about that is that when a man is experiencing fight or flight, that's a stress hormone. And the reason I'm focusing on that, because if we want to have lasting love in our relationships, great sex, and at the Expo, I'll be talking about enlightened sexuality for lasting love. Was married to my wife for 34 years. She passed on, but we had a great sex life. And it's because we practiced the things that I teach. Many people today, when they come to my seminars, they want to, how do we keep the attraction going? It seems to diminish very quickly. And a big part of that is, well, actually the major part of attraction between a man and a woman is in her presence, his testosterone levels will double. His excitement will be there. And for a woman, if she's in the presence of a man and his attention, his affection, his safety level for her, it will double her estrogen. So the romantic hormones in a woman occur when her estrogen levels start getting higher and higher. We all know that's mapped out. For a woman to experience ovulation, her estrogen levels will temporarily double. And at that time, her attraction to males dramatically increases. This has all been tested out and so forth. And if we look at male testosterone levels, we're seeing that statistically, single men for their age group, what's happening in America now, for their age group, everybody's going down, men on average. This is average. I'm 71, my testosterone levels are 50% higher than I was a young man. But I'm not your average guy. I'm a relationship expert. I teach sex. So sex is one of the most powerful things to keep a man's testosterone levels high. If you have too much sex, they go low. If you don't have sex, they go low. So basically, we look at the average testosterone levels of men today are going down 1% every year, 1%. The average 20-year-old man has 20% less testosterone than just 20 years ago. These are averages. This is not everybody. But if you want to sustain attraction in a relationship, men have to have more testosterone than your average guy. That's just the reality. And why does testosterone go down in men? And women need to have higher estrogen. Their estrogen levels have to double in order to experience sustained romantic feelings. This is just how to do that. So I wrote a whole book on behaviors and strategies, not taking hormones. Taking hormones is not the answer to this issue I'm talking about. It turns out relationship skills can stimulate more testosterone in a man, stimulate more estrogen in a woman. And this is amazing knowledge. We know there's a hormone challenge for men in the world today. So many men are taking testosterone and so forth. And we know there's a hormone challenge for women. They're taking hormones, which they've never had to do naturally, because lifestyle, you see, the culture for thousands of years, our culture, it's not that culture makes men and women different. Men and women are born different biology. However, culture would shape men to produce testosterone. When women depended on men for their survival, for their security, men had a job to do. And women were very appreciative of it because he provided that. Whenever a man provides for someone successfully and he anticipates success, his testosterone will go up. His team is winning, his testosterone goes up. It's a feeling of success. Now, another paradoxical thought, and once you understand biology, you can see how it all makes sense. If you don't know biology, it doesn't make sense. So if you look at statistically, again, big studies, hundreds of thousands of men, they go to clinics, they keep records, it's all there. It shows that for their age group, okay, if you're a 20-year-old or you're a 35-year-old or whatever, in your age group, your testosterone levels will be highest if you're single. Your testosterone levels will drop a notch if you're in a committed relationship. Your testosterone levels on average will drop again if you get married. And then again, the next level down is you have children. And the next level down is you have grandchildren, if you're still alive. So why would that be? Well, the reason for that is that relationships stimulate, average relationships today. When a man loves a woman or he loves his children, naturally he makes more estrogen. Estrogen is the love hormone. Oxytocin, people think is the love hormone, is part of it. Oxytocin is when you feel safe. So you have a man you can depend on. When you can depend on someone for something meaningful, your estrogen levels go up. So trust is a very important thing for women. They need to feel, I can trust my partner. I can trust my friends. I can trust in my life that I have the support I need. If you're very spiritual as a woman, as traditional people tended to be, you believe in a higher power. That's so important for women and for men, but in a different way. When you pray to God, you feel like you have support. You can depend upon that support. It's the most powerful estrogen stimulator. Then the next step is how to integrate that high consciousness down here into the world, since we're talking about that, and that's through relationship. You literally, through making love, you bring that divine energy into your body. But you, in order to sustain making love over time in a relationship, the relationship itself needs to stimulate testosterone in a man and stimulate estrogen in a woman. So what we have is issues that you see so commonly. Once you understand the hormones, then everybody's issues start to make sense. Often if I do marriage counseling still. And if a man wants to leave his wife, usually what he'll say is something like this: no matter what I do, it's never enough to make her happy. So what's he saying? I'm not successful. If I can't be successful, why should I be in this relationship, even though I might love her? And that's because in the relationship, it's not supporting this very important hormone for men's aliveness, for their sense of vitality, for their attraction, for their motivation, for their ability to commit. So that basically is what men will say, is I just don't feel successful. And a woman will say, he's not successful. That's the bottom line. She'll say, I give and give and give in this relationship, and I just don't get back. I don't have anything left to give. I don't understand men. Or she just resents men because she doesn't understand men. Because a man needs to be motivated. In the beginning, when you're dating, he doesn't need motivation. And a man will give up because he realizes, why isn't my wife happy? Because women need certain things in a relationship to be happy, and nobody's informed men of that. You see, in the past, my father and his generation, nobody had to teach him. Had to teach him how to have a job and be polite, never yell at a woman, never yell at a woman, and make money, have a good job. And that was pretty much it. Provide a beautiful, secure environment for her. If he could, you had a very successful relationship. And my mother, the culture supported her and my father's lifestyle as well, where she could have help raising 7 children, 6 boys. And she was a happy, happy woman. 2 primary reasons. She had a good provider husband who never yelled at her. And the second one was she was so spiritual. You know, my mother had the Aquarian Age bookshelf for, I think, 30 years. And it was the biggest spiritual bookstore, second to Bodhi Tree. Actually, it was the same size in the beginning of Bodhi Tree. Then it grew. She actually put in a whole wing of Mars Venus books to her bookstore. It was very sweet. But she would never tell anybody she was my mother. She didn't want to persuade them unfairly, so to speak. She's a very sweet lady. I was doing yoga since I was 3 years old. My father taught all the boys were in there doing our yoga. Most people don't know I was a celibate monk. I was a personal assistant to Maharishi of the TM movement. And then I moved on after 9 years of that and started making love. Okay. I had been celibate all that time. So I was making up for lost time. And I interviewed women that I would make love to. I was sort of a traveling Casanova type, and interviewed them first because I'd say I was a monk. So teach me about your body. And I learned so much. And back then we didn't have all these wonderful books on making love and a biology of a woman and the importance of clitoris, the importance of the different levels of the vagina, the importance of ways to kiss, importance of the breast. See, all of these things I'll be talking about in my talk, but there's there's a whole tradition of how to open a woman's body so her estrogen levels can go to the highest level. If you just go straight to it, it doesn't give her the time to build up her estrogen levels. And so this is a whole dynamic of increasing arousal in her allows him to feel more and more successful. That keeps building his testosterone levels to much higher levels than he can ever achieve through anything else. And you wonder what happened? Why did it go away? Well, in the beginning of a relationship, men automatically have motivation. That's the testosterone gives them motivation along with dopamine. Dopamine is newness. So in the beginning of a relationship, it's all new. I haven't seen this body. I haven't seen this person. And getting to know them, where you're from. Well, it's all exploration. Well, whenever you go somewhere new, you always feel good, right? And that's the newness stimulates dopamine. And in men, this is the biology here. In men, that newness will stimulate testosterone. And if a woman feels safe and she experiences high dopamine levels, her estrogen levels will go up. That's why the best sex is when you go away for getaways, romantic getaways, you go to dates, go somewhere new and different, go to a hotel room. You don't have to worry about cleaning up. You don't have to worry about anything. You go in, you have your fun, and you go. So this is all why? Because newness stimulates this dopamine brain chemical. But when you fall in love, what happens is serotonin gets produced. You feel comfortable. You feel at ease. You feel, oh, finally I can come home and relax. I can be with the person who loves me just the way I am. And she feels safe with me too. That comfort that we all want as well. We want excitement and we want comfort. Well, the excitement is the dopamine, and that comes freely at the beginning of a relationship. And for men, the way that shows up is an automatic motivation. We're just busy to get to know her and do things. And a woman's thinking, my gosh, what a jewel I've got. He'll always be this way. No, he won't, unless you learn skills to raise his testosterone. Because dopamine will go away, and that automatic motivation for him will go away. And for women, because high dopamine in the beginning, if she feels safe, her estrogen levels shoot up really high. So she's happy. Little things make her happy. And this is the amazing thing about women is when they feel happy, it's very easy for a man to make her happier. So it goes so well during the dating process. But then once the newness goes away, she doesn't get the free estrogen. And the challenge there for, even in the old days, we knew that the excitement of the super passion that you felt would go away just because that was called the honeymoon period. But today, there's a chance for the honeymoon period to last your whole life. Okay, that's a possibility if women learn and men learn how to produce the right hormones that get produced when you fall in love. It's a matter of, well, simply put, doing the things you did with each other in the beginning, continuing to do them will produce those hormones. But men stop, women are no longer happy about things. Women will tend to take for granted the things he does. He will take her for granted. He doesn't tell her every day, I love you so much. You get into bed and you're making love. You're just the most beautiful woman in the world. I love you so much. You're the only one for me. I can't think of anybody else. I love you. I love you. I love you. Well, most men don't say that stuff. If they said it once, why do I have to say it again? You do. This is the great thing, is that you can actually continue saying those things that you said in the beginning, and you win her over again. And that motivates you, keeps the motivation going. And she opens her heart more. What men don't know about women is that once that free dopamine goes away, they need a lot of reassurance. The key thing, they need reassurance that they're number one. That's why monogamy is so powerful. I mean, monogamy can be a jail sentence. I know for some guys, it's like, I can't be monogamous because they never experienced great lovemaking. Nobody ever taught them how to provide that for a woman. And the woman's not getting that feeling of, I'm number one, I'm special. And he doesn't know how to provide that 9 levels of orgasm for her. I mean, when a woman can experience that, she's never going to think about going anywhere else. And he will feel like a super king. Even if it doesn't have to be king. It produces the testosterone levels of a king. And that's actually a biology. Again, if you look at monkeys, there's always this pecking order in monkeys. And the king, who has the highest testosterone, he will get all the girls. They're all coming to him. He has maximum attraction power. It's the testosterone that goes up. And this is also biological in humans. If I'm in the presence of my wife and my testosterone goes up in her presence, pheromones get produced in my nose and my body smell. Pheromones go to her and raise her estrogen. Likewise, if she's feeling in love with me, she's producing a lot of estrogen, and that will raise that estrogen pheromones will go out and turn a man on, raise his testosterone. We're such biological creatures. And the key to us is to elevate our biology. See, we have this human biology that regulates all these hormones and so forth, to use our mind in order to create strategies to elevate our hormones. And then in making love, you bring in the highest divine power. And that is when a man can be both maximum masculine energy and maximum feminine energy. You see all the gods and the paintings and so forth, the Shiva being both masculine and feminine, having a male and female side. The whole thing is, that's how you experience ecstasy, is that sustained ecstasy is when a man can be strong in his masculine energy and as well as his feminine. And for a woman to be in her feminine as well as in her masculine. Sex can bring us together in that way, in a very powerful, powerful way. So you see in many spiritual traditions, the highest practice is making love, but it has to be done in a certain way. It has to, there's an art to it. There's a science to it. There's lots of wonderful books written on it. I've written my own book, Mars, Venus in the Bedroom. I have other ideas that I've developed since I wrote that book, which I will be sharing at the Expo, which is how to be the multi-orgasmic man. You know, at 71 years old, I have sex every day. It's amazing, but I never ejaculate. See, that's the whole key, is how to be multi-orgasmic for a man is to keep the energy inside. So you recreate, it's the energy of life. Okay, that's a potent juice there, and that regenerates your body. If you want to go that path, it's a path. You know, we all have our different paths. So it's the one I choose. I enjoy it very much. And I can, with years and years of practicing this with Bonnie, and really not fully mastering it till the later years. But when I practice it, the problem is you get blue balls, and that's a hard thing. And I didn't have instruction on how to do it correctly. So I'll be talking about that so that men can extend the lovemaking play. Even if they want to still release their energy, they can live a short life. That's their choice. Or you can live longer and be happier and feel that attraction again and again and again. So it is power positive. If you actually focus in on what's happening in a man's body when he has an orgasm and then he ejaculates, an orgasm for a man is when he loves her or he loves it. You know, loving it is a lower level of sex, which, you know, I love ice cream. That's a lower level of okay. So, you know, guys say, oh, I love her, but really don't love her. They don't even know her. You know, this is all this many couples all doing it. You know, this is fun. You know, I did it in 8th grade. It was the most wonderful thing in the world. It's free sex. I did it as a hippie, free sex. But as soon as free sex was it's an evolutionary factor of permission for men to go to their female side. And so one of the ideas that goes with a man going to his female side is you're more loving, you're more emotional, you feel more relaxed, you go easy, and you also do what you like. Okay, that was back that song. One of the Cream members did that back in the 60s, is do what you like, do what you like. That's the motto of men going to their female side. You know, I don't want to go to war and join the army. So I demonstrated, you know, peace and love, free sex. You don't have to get married before sex. You see, you can do what you like, you know. So this is good things. This made me connect to my divine spirit as well as doing what I like. But then if I go too far over on my female side, I lose my masculine power. So the key is how to balance those things within ourselves. And I have my own journey for that, and helping my wife and then my new partner as well, balance that masculine side of a woman. She goes to her male side. How can I, as a man, help her come back to her female side? And I know this is a short presentation. I'll be talking more at the New Living Expo, but it's a lot has to do with pretty much of the techniques I used in Men Are From Mars, but updated and definitely more developed, because I've had 28, actually I've been teaching those ideas almost 40 years now. So they evolve, and the techniques evolve according to the culture, which is now, in a sense, giving men so much permission and opportunity and nudging to go too far to their female side. An example of that would be playing games, video games, wasting time watching TikTok and all those things. It could be an online porn. or just simply free sex with whoever, this is all just the estrogen gets produced when you're depending on something outside yourself to be happy. Okay. So when you're depending on a woman to make you happy, your estrogen levels will go so high, but you need first to depend on yourself. You have a job, you achieve goals, you won her over. This is what we had to do in the past that gave you lots of testosterone. So we have to discipline ourselves. What are the things that produce testosterone in a man? And I'll teach us that at the New Living Expo. And for a woman, what can I do for her? So an example of that, and I know my time's pretty much up, but a little quick example of testosterone boosters in a man. And you can test this out, women, and men, you can test out what I'm about to teach too. And that is, whenever a guy's talking and you're listening to him, just say things randomly if you feel it, but just notice it's good to say them. Things like, oh, that makes sense. Or, oh, what a good idea. Or he does something, that was so helpful of you. See, those things, anytime you give a message that a man does something meaningful for you, that bumps his testosterone. It just gives you life for a man. And at the same time, you're doing it because you love her, as opposed to doing it for money. Anytime you do anything for money, you're primarily making testosterone. If you do something because you love and you're not depending upon the outcome to pay you back, then what happens is you're producing more estrogen. Think of a mother nurturing her child. The child doesn't pay her. She's freely giving her love. Estrogen levels are going very, very up. And so nature has put in a woman's body rewards for doing nurturing behaviors, which is her estrogen produces well-being in her body, and it will lower her stress. At the same time, and it's a little more complicated, I'll briefly mention it. I go into this in great detail, a woman's hormone cycles and so forth, and Beyond Mars and Venus over there. And that dynamic, after your ovulation, then you still need estrogen, but not as much for well-being. What you need is more progesterone. And progesterone is primarily produced in situations where you're doing what you like to do. Estrogen is produced when you're doing situations where you're depending on others to do something meaningful for you, like going to a doctor. If you don't have a husband, go see a doctor. You get a surge of estrogen, particularly around the full moon for those women who are beyond the cycling period. Still, the moon has a big effect on your hormones if you go in resonance with it. You have to resonate with it first. And I talk about that as well. But 90% of the people who go to therapists are women. Why? Because they're going to talk. Because when you talk, you open up, you bring someone inside of you. When somebody's listening to you, you're bringing them inside. But the trick there to produce estrogen is to be able to reveal inside you what you don't share anybody else. Whenever you can reveal a secret, so to speak, like teenage girls, they all have their secrets and they bond. It's like, we know something we don't tell anybody. Well, that's what a marriage can be, is where a wife can share the depths of who she is with a man who's there for her and who's been taught how to communicate to her. And maybe he didn't learn from me. It's okay. Women can teach men how to do this. Very simple. We're like so pliable once we understand the dynamics of men and women. I'll just toss in something if somebody can't hear my talk or doesn't want to get my book real quickly. When you're angry, men, what you need to know is your estrogen levels are rising really high and it's pushing your testosterone down. So you need to not talk, because anytime you have emotions, if you talk, whether it be positive emotions or negative emotion, doesn't matter. If you're expressing, your tone of voice is from emotion, your estrogen levels will be rising. And what we don't want as men, if we find ourselves feeling irritable or bored, lack of motivation, or addiction, all that stuff is too much estrogen dependence on men, because they can't find their strength over in their male side. And it's not that hard once you learn how I go for here, I go to there. So anytime I'm a little grumpy or irritable, I need to go do something that pumps up my testosterone. So I think that's pretty much an outline of what I'll be talking about. Hopefully it's opening our mind to learning the world has changed. It's new living. And so we can adapt to that and recognize a new reason to be monogamous other than keeping a family together for their children, which is a good reason as well. But if you don't have kids, why stay together? Oh, the sex just gets better and better and better.
Hey, John, you're great. And
I
think you're great at what you do. And I mean, once John gets started on talks, I think there was a show several years ago. I think he started at 7 o'clock, and I think at 10 o'clock he was still talking, and the audience was all captive. So You know,
Yeah.
if you get a chance to get him live, don't miss it. I'm gratefully still in love with my wife after 20 years this year. We've been, married. So, you can't just create that. It just, the bond is there. And I'm just so grateful that I have someone to share that love with. So great.
And
I
he
know
has great
Scott-
sex. Not that I know for haven't seen it, but I'm in a men's group with Ken, and he's a great guy. This is amazing.
Yeah.
What a
We're
wonderful
very
evening
lucky.
it's going to be.
Well, thank you, John. Greg Noble puts it best. He says, wow, I can't wait to get your whole talk at the Expo. So George is looking forward. We're all looking forward to seeing it.
Scott, do you mind if I just finish? It's a 1 minute. I promised I'd say something. So when a guy's talking, good idea, makes sense. That's so helpful. Oh, thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be around you. Just delight. Men are hungry for feminine happiness. And what can a man do that's so meaningful to a woman? He can do those things. That's nice. But most important is when she talks, listen, say things like, well, help me understand that better. Or if she's doing something, can I help you with that? Offer to help. That's one. Help me understand that better. And then she's talking for a while. Just listen. Don't talk so much, man, when she's talking. And then when you say something sweet, just say, tell me more. It's such a nice thing to have somebody say, tell me more. Women are so afraid of talking too much, but actually encourage her to talk. And then when she seems to be done, pause, think about it, and then say, well, what else? Get it out, bring it out.
Keep her talking. Yeah, keep her talking.
Keep her going. It's the opposite of what men think. So many of my ideas are the opposite game.
Absolutely. Those are the magic words. Tell me more. Laura Chamberlain just wrote, John, thanks so much for teaching us. I'm buying your book. And I want to let everybody know how they can buy John's books and learn more about John. He offers a lot, obviously. And it's a website. Go to marsvenus.com, marsvenus.com. And if you click on books, that's where you can see all the wonderful books that John has written, and some of which, of course, he talked about. Here's his new one, Beyond Mars and Venus, Relationship Skills for Today's Complex World. And that is a powerful playbook. We were looking at it prior to the show today. And, there's Marianne, one of our regulars on the show, who's now running for president, and talking about John. And, John, you are beloved by very, very many. And we're really looking forward to being with you live next weekend. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ken, we'll go to Dan Lappin in a moment, but I want to just briefly, because John spoke so much about really healthy, loving sex. And I was also blessed, John, to have a beautiful situation, a marriage. My wife, like your Bonnie, passed away, but I was blessed to have that experience. And it's true. It's when there's mutual love, it's the best. And I just want to acknowledge that one of our regular friends, Jay Mayer, teaches light touch. And we do a lot of light touch on this show. And light touch is all about helping people to really come back into the beauty of love, the beauty of slowing down and not just, whoopity-whoopity, but really taking the time to lightly touch ourselves if we're single, or if we're in a partnership, to really bless it. And so one of the things that Jay does for us, he brings us light touch, and he also creates wonderful videos. And so we're going to play one of his videos right now, and then we'll be right back with Daniel Lappin. But this is kind of appropriate because John Gray is one of the great spiritual teachers. And so Jay put together a video of other spiritual teachers that we all admire and appreciate. Let's take a look. Thank you so much, Jay, for creating that video. We're going to take a look at another video later on in the show. And Kenny, you've got some of the great current living spiritual teachers coming to the Expo. You've got, of course, John Gray, who we just heard from. You've got the Twin Ray, who are one of our favorite teachers. You've got Matt Kahn. I love Matt, and he's a wonderful spiritual teacher. And they're all kind of the new style of spiritual teaching, which is walking their talk and modeling and speaking human to human as opposed to guru to student. So I'm really excited about some of the spiritual teachers that you have.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
And
you also
go ahead.
a new area. Tell us about Daniel Lappin and what you guys are creating.
Well, we worked a little bit together last year creating the body movement area last time. So we just, with this new location and having this big 2 acres, 3 acres outside, we just wanted to create an amazing village. And, Daniel's he's now created the producer of the Mind, Body, Spirit Village at the New Living Expo. And it's basically everything outside. It's free to the public, no fee at all. You can come enjoy it. He'll talk a little bit about it, but it's really just an embodied experimental area of the outdoor green park of what is the Marin Center. And as a producer of the village, he brings 20 years of experience as an exhibitor of the New Living Expo and nearly 25 years as an energy healer and trauma body worker. He's located in Mill Valley at Dam Junction. I just had a massage from him tonight and earlier today, and I highly recommend him. His website's daniellappin.com, and he's going to talk a little bit about what's going on outside. Come on, Daniel.
Great, thanks, Ken. Can you hear me okay? Great, thanks. Yeah, so first, Ken and Scott, I just want to lay down an acknowledgement to you, Ken, because about 3 months ago, as you and I were standing there in the county fairgrounds, looking at the possibility of doing something outside, Scott, I just want to let you know that Ken made the decision to increase the size of the New Living Expo by approximately 50%.
Wow.
Yeah, so people who've remember the 8th and Brannan San Francisco Day and the cool days down there, and people who went to San Mateo. Well, this year, first time ever, outside is approximately 3.5 acres of beautiful grass, trees, a wonderful lagoon, and we are loading it with experience. And so this is the biggest and largest, most embodiment that has ever happened at the New Living Expo. And I've been around it for 20 years, and so I can say it. And I'm truly honored to be the leading curator for this whole experience. If you'd asked me 4 or 5 months ago whether I'd be doing this, I would have had no idea. And so the philosophy behind this is very much what from the healing arts perspective, and that's part of what I do, is the intention of the village is to amplify that embodied vibration of attendees at the New Living Expo and make it this big experience. Whereas there's a lot of beautiful speakers like Matt Kahn and Matt Gray and Carolyn Corey. And what the outside village is going to do is help people drop that in and open up the fullness of mental, emotional, physical energetics to then receive the wisdom that is downloaded from all of these speakers. Okay, the village is going to help people say, let's just let go of what happens out in the other world and drop into that energy field. And so to help them walk more gracefully and receive these downloads that are happening from these higher dimensional speakers that are happening in the hotel, at the Embassy Suites, and at the exhibitor booths throughout the venue, is the Mind, Body, Spirit, where we're going to have 8 different experience areas outside. It's going to be a beautiful sunny weekend from what the forecast is showing, and they can enjoy body movement, Qigong, yoga, meditation, the labyrinth. There'll be altars and ceremonies and ritual. We have an incredible lineup of ecstatic belly dancing. These are real well-trained belly dancers. They're going to dial that in. We're so excited. As John Gray said, this is a new era. And from this perspective, we've all been struggling for several years with the pandemic, intoxication. And we're going to have a wonderful tea garden outside with beautiful sponsors. Fabula Tea is going to be helping us with that. And we're collaborating with other promoters like Wu Wei Tea House in Fairfax, Soft Medicine in Sebastopol, Elixir Art in Nevada City. So we're bringing a really down-to-earth vibration in a beautiful outdoor area. We have some renowned artists in the art walk area like Mariela de la Paz and Mark Henson are going to be there. We are incredibly honored that the organization called the Center for Sacred Studies and Jyoti Ma is going to bring some incredible deep indigenous wisdom into our opening ceremonies. And on Saturday, we'll be doing an anointing with sacred water from 850 lakes and waters. Okay. We'll have a healing arts court where I'll be centered. And then we have a food court with Amachi and Lydia's. And so it's a playground. It's a wonderful playground. Just want to invite everyone to come on down, open it up, dial it in, and join us at the New Living Expo next weekend.
Thanks,
Fantastic. My God, you could not be more enthusiastic. I love this, guys. Yeah. Oh, it's infectious. Absolutely infectious.
Good at what he does and very detailed. We've been at meetings with the Marin Center, and he's got this flow chart that's like 8 pages, blew us all away. So Daniel, you did a great job.
I appreciate that, Ken. And I want to thank you, Ken, for doing this for 20 years. We've known each other for 20 years and just laying down a trust mandate to me and just letting me take it and run it. And the collaboration has just been wonderful. Thank you, Ken, so much.
Thank you. Hey, we're going to take a moment to acknowledge one of the members of our Global Peace Tribe, our beloved Nitya. He and his partner Sylvia are regulars on the show. And we learned today from Sylvia that Nitya was hospitalized. Sylvia, do you want to share anything about his situation? I'm going to lead a little prayer for us, but do you want to share for a moment?
He had a seizure now 2 weeks ago that lasted about 15 minutes, and he spent the night in the hospital, and then came home and decided in the aftermath of the seizure not to come to LA for the retreat. He was actually planning to drive 6 hours to Virginia this weekend, and he started experiencing what he described as hallucinations and psychoses, that I talked him out of his car keys Tuesday night, and Friday he was in a place where he was willing for a friend to drive him to a psych hospital where he checked himself in. And for my own self-care, he had his cell phone with him, but I don't know if he's allowed to have it. And I need to just focus on my own care, because that week of hallucinations was hellish for me too.
Wow. Well, let's all are going to go to gallery view. So I invite everybody to turn on their cameras. I know that you're a regular, and so just praying maximum grace for both Nitya and Sylvia. Maximum grace. Maximum grace. Thank you, everybody. And
Thank
we will
you.
We'll
Receiving with love and gratitude.
Absolutely. We'll do another prayer tomorrow during our Easter Sunday service, Sylvia. Thank you. I think Lori Grace is supposed to be on next, but she hasn't showed up yet. So I'm going to actually go to another Tatiana video that we created. This is her introducing a beautiful new video. So let's go to Tatiana for a moment. Here it is. We are back with Tatiana Speed, and We're about to see another one of your beautiful videos. Tell us about Earth Family.
Yeah, Earth Family is, I feel, a very special song. I've been working with an organization called Home for Humanity, which is setting up these global homes all around the world. It's incredible what they're doing. And they created this document in partnership with Jean Houston called the Humanity Charter, which really is just this living document, this visionary document of how humanity can come together as an Earth family and co-create this new world. And they asked me to write something kind of inspired by this document. And so that's where Earth Family came from. It's really inspired by this Humanity Charter document. And it really speaks to the fact that, you know, around the world, we're seeing this burgeoning movement of people coming together, coalescing. Every corner of the world, people are rising up, connecting to each other, evolving, transforming. I mean, there's a huge collective global awakening happening, and a finding of each other too, and a creating of this new path forwards, which I find so exciting, and is something I love about being on your shows, Scott, because I can really feel it palpably in the air. So that is Earth Family. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to kind of capture the essence of that in that song.
And you do it beautifully. Okay, let's take a look.
You're muted, Scott.
I'm now bringing up the that video.
Today we come together with a new vision for humanity, to co-create a united Earth family. And with this vision and our shared intuition, we have the potential to bring peace on Earth to fruition. We imagine a world where we take care of all of life. And with this intention, we become beacons of light. So let's join together in manifestation to bring about societal transformation. From the heart of humanity, we come together in unity to co-create a united Earth family. From the heart of humanity, we come together in unity to co-create a united Earth family. We come together to unite, we come together to ignite unity between all forms of life. I see the one in the all and the all in the one. Our hearts beat to the same drum. We come together for the fate of the earth. Every single one of us is needed to rebirth a new community, a new Earth family, a new reality and unity for all humanity. If we educate, we can innovate, create a blank slate for the world to co-create a new fate of societal change and renewal. Indigenous knowledge is a key, is a tool. From the heart of humanity, we come together in unity to co-create a united Earth family. From the heart of humanity, we come together in unity to co-create a united Earth family. United, 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 let's come together, Earth family. United, united. United, let's come together, Earth family. We are co-creators, we are innovators, we are change makers, pioneers and trailblazers, paving a path for an inclusive civilization to arise, a regenerative future for all beings, all life. We nurture cultures of peace and integrity. We celebrate the beauty of our infinite diversity, and from every corner of the world, creative expression paves the way for a future of intimate connection. The
leaders of today, the leaders of tomorrow. We have seeds to sow, visions to grow, places to go. And now we know it's time for unity to co-create a united Earth family. From the heart of humanity, we come together in unity to co-create a united Earth family. From the heart of humanity, we come together in unity to co-create a united Earth family. From the heart of humanity, we come together in unity to co-create. Let's come together, family. From the heart of humanity, we come together in unity to co-create. Let's come together, family.
We love Tatiana, and she does such a beautiful job of editing. You know, the images that she chooses are so powerful, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, that was just so uplifting and fun, and just shows that, you know, we can be so creative, and when we come together in unity, just what's possible, and that it can be light. And that's exactly what's going to happen when we're all together, I know, at New Living Expo next weekend.
Next weekend it's coming up. We're all going to be together.
Yeah.
Hey, Lori Grace is in the house. We're glad. And so I'm going to bring Kenny on. Lori is one of my dearest and oldest friends. I have the greatest of respect for her. She is always dedicating her life to making the world a better place. She's been an environmental activist and enthusiast, well, for the 35 years that I've known her. She's coming to us right now from Haleakua Garden Farm, which is an incredible organic farm. She's going to talk about some of the amazing things that she's creating there. And she's also going to be teaching compassionate communication. Kenny, what do you want to add about Lori?
Well, I've known Lori for probably close to 20 years too, and a big force in Marin to bring about just more awareness in our lives. And great honor to have her come back. And it's really great that you could, you know, with all what's going on in Hawaii, and you're so busy and you made time for us. And I really thank you. It came at the last minute. You're also talking about on Friday night, Tantra and sexual energetics, similar to what John was.
Again.
So, you know, you're a great force to be dealt with. And I'm just so honored and grateful that you are able to carve out some time to be with us for the next weekend.
I'm so happy about that. And I'm so happy about getting a booth again with you, which I've gotten since 1990 something. And I love the New Living Expo, and I absolutely adore that it's in Marin County, which is next to the nonprofit that I have, Sunrise Center, that is, we're really rebirthing ourselves and coming up with such a variety of programs. And I am talking to you from Maui, Hawaii, right at this time. And I'm putting together an amazing experiment in creating the first, one of the first organically raised fish in the United States. And believe it or not, it's tilapia. And I was really dismayed when I learned that farmed fish were all fed GMOs and before they are harvested. And so I know then they're filled with Roundup. So I wanted to create something that was, you know, really healthy. And then also I want to create an alternative to ocean fishing, because our ocean is being so taken down and overfished and caught with higher temperatures and more pollution and mercury and plastics. So I wanted to see if we could create a way where we are becoming leaders and guardians of the ocean as well as the earth. And so, yes, we have fish here. We also have chickens, ducks, goats, and fish. Yeah. And we're doing insect farming to raise food right on the property for feeding these animals. And also we're, eating the chicken eggs, the duck eggs, and we haven't yet bred the goats, but we're doing that. And then we have a whole variety of vegetables and fruits that we do. And we're trying to create a model for sustainability where we could actually survive without being relying on shipments from the ocean or from the ships or by plane. Because right now, 80 to 90% of all the food in Maui is shipped in by refrigerated planes or by boat. So anyway, we'll see what we can do. And Scott, you might want to turn on to the website while I talk for a moment. And
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to do next.
oh,
So
were you?
I just want to let everybody know that this is the website. It's Haleakua Garden, haleakua.org. I'm going to put that in the chat box. And definitely want to encourage everybody to put their email address in so you can learn all about it. So subscribe and yeah, tell us a little bit. I mean, I want to say I've probably been to Haleakua about 100 times in my life. I've been going since 1985. It is absolutely my favorite place on the planet. And it keeps wanting to, there we go, let's close that out. Show us, what are we looking at, Lori? Tell us more.
Well, you're looking at one of our balconies, and there's a yoga class, and there's a massage, and we also have about 4 or 5 hot tubs. There's a pool, and it's a great place to relax. And we also are now doing major retreats. A lot of people are holding retreats with us in yoga, communication, meditation, let's see what else, taekwondo. And those are our pet goats there. And so we're doing so many different things, and it's really exciting to be here. So, and sometimes people come to stay just for themselves with an individual retreat, and sometimes they come to stay with a retreat guided by somebody. So
I know that some of the people that are watching right now attended the Twin Ray retreat.
Yes, they did.
That's right. That's right.
And I heard that they had a good time and they'd like to come again sometime.
Yeah, the Twin Ray planning on coming back. And they will be, you'll get a chance to be with them again because they'll be at the New Living Expo next weekend.
Oh boy, how wonderful. I love it.
Something else that I want to just acknowledge is that Lori is who introduced me to Marshall Rosenberg back in the year 2000, which led to my doing some video work with him, traveling with him, falling in love with nonviolent communication, and that led to me becoming Love Coach Scott. So Lori has been studying nonviolent communication and teaching it for a very long time, and you're going to be doing more of that at the Expo. So tell us a bit about that now.
So that will be at 6 o'clock on Sunday. And I thought I decided to do that because we can go over and really do some really in-depth learning. And I have several people assisting. And then Scott is also co-facilitating with me. And we're going to create a real learning experience. It'll be hands-on. And so I'm excited about that, and excited about, even though it's the last event at the Expo, for those of you who want to stay, you're going to get something really concrete and profound.
Fantastic. Tell us a little bit more about that. What are some of the things that people will learn or be able to experience at the Expo?
The way we've been able to do it is we launch into an understanding of needs and desires, which is something that Marshall created as a cornerstone. And then we move into being able to sense our own needs, listen to someone else sense their needs, and really we'll have people practice telling a story, and then you can feel into the needs. I have a lovely little manual that's so short but so thorough, in terms of being able to do what's known as the empathy game, where you actually can have right there an experience of empathizing with another person, and they get to feel what it's like to be empathized with, and then you get to receive it also. So, but we have plenty of people coming along to help. So if anybody gets stuck, and so it's some solid learning, and we follow up with that at Sunrise Center. And Scott, if you could show the website there briefly, if it's on Chrome, you get to see the classes. And so anyway, we're doing many things with that, and we're doing also wonderful courses that we're going to be doing. And there's the New Living Expo right there. And we're also doing, well, the Tantra and Sexual Energetics. I've done that for 20 years, and I'm very happy for it. And we're also running classes in peptides, which is a health approach, near-death experiences, the tarot done archetypally and theatrically, many different things. And so I'm excited about that too. So we're really becoming alive again, fully with in-person programs in Marin. So
Yeah.
we have both.
I noticed that, and again, the Sunrise Center is in Corte Madera. That's just north of San Francisco, just over the Golden Gate Bridge. It's right off the one freeway. And you're going to be doing something with Danny Sheehan on the
Oh,
Monday.
that too. Yes, yeah. We're going to be, and also I'm going to represent him some at our booth, and then also he's going to be presenting at the Sunrise Center in Corte Madera together with the California Go Green project that they've co-developed, which is created like what I did when I helped create Marin Clean Energy, and it's spread around the Bay Area. They have introduced it to Santa Cruz County, Monterey, Ventura, San Luis Obispo, San Benito County, and really being able to create a way for citizens to choose their own green energy and make a difference, really make a difference. And there's a chance to participate in that. So it's exciting.
Amazing. Lori, thank you so much for all that you do. It's just incredible. And I really want to encourage everybody, go to the Sunrise Center, see all the different things that Lori is creating. And yeah.
And one other thing too, I want to say.
Yeah, and I'm going to be teaching a class. Lori and I are doing a couple of classes together there, one on May 5th and one on May 11th.
And one other thing I want to say, if you come to our booth and you work to the classes, you're going to get a chance to be in a raffle for staying at Haleakua.
Wow.
For a 3-day, 2-night stay. So you have that opportunity as well. And we're also offering one free class per person who comes to our classes at the Expo.
So just to be clear, everybody who comes to the Expo and takes one of the classes at the Expo will also get a free class at Sunrise Center.
And a raffle ticket for several stays we're offering at Haleakua.
Yes, well, Maria and Laura have already said how excited they are about that. So,
oh, goody.
Lori, thank you so much. We will see you. Well, I'll see you before then, but I'll look forward to all of us seeing you at the New Living Expo next week.
Oh, thank you, Scott. And thank you, Ken. Yeah.
You're welcome.
We are one. We are one. We are one. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. We are one. One love. We are one. One love.
And we are grateful to Light Touch. Thank you, Jay Mayer, for all of your support. And in the Global Peace Tribe announcements, the first announcement I want to make is I just want to encourage people to go and learn more about Light Touch. And it's easy. The website is light-touch.me. And there's all sorts of videos and opportunities to learn everything about even healing your relationships. And believe me, as a relationship coach, I did 3 sessions today, and 2 of them were with couples that are really struggling. They haven't learned what John Gray was teaching today. And Light Touch is a wonderful way to help all of us have more love in our life. So just really want to encourage everybody to do more Light Touch. We're going to be starting more Light Touch practice groups. We're talking about ways for us to all do it together. It's a really wonderful, wonderful thing. So a big thanks to Jay Mayer for that. I also want to invite everybody to a very special Easter Sunday show tomorrow. And that's, of course, The Awakening World. We do 3 shows every week, sometimes more, and we always have our Sacred Sunday show. And because it's Easter Sunday, we've got something really special planned. How would you like to be able to actually be with Jesus, also known as Yeshua, and Mary Magdalene on Easter Sunday? Well, you can do that. Renee and Anthony, who are the amazing channels for Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, will be with us. And we're also going to get a real introduction from probably one of the world's foremost scholars about Mary Magdalene. Elizabeth Kelly will be with us. Of course, the great Christy Michaels will be with us. And, you know, Christy, this is her life, is really helping us to understand about Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. And we have wonderful music with Omashar. And remember Vox Angelis, you heard her play before. She is incredible. She's got this remarkable voice. She's going to be with us. So it's going to be a really special Sacred Sunday show. So please make sure you join us tomorrow morning. That's at 10 o'clock Pacific time. And then in the evening, I tell you, Marin County is where it's happening these days. In the evening, there's going to be a live event that Christine and Jan and a lot of people have put together at 7 o'clock, the 13th annual Sunrise Easter celebration. And it's going to be dance, art, music, all sorts of things going on at Unity of Marin in Novato. Unity of Marin in Novato, 7 p.m. And if you can't make it live, I want to encourage you to join the live stream. So you can go live or you can join the live stream. And all the information is at gospelofmarymagdalene.info. Gospelofmarymagdalene.info. I'm putting that into the chat box right now. Which leads to our next Global Peace Tribe announcement. You know, most of you are watching us on Facebook right now. And that's great. I appreciate a big thanks to John and Summer Raymer. They run the Sign Network, SINE, which gets us out to as many as 175 Facebook groups and pages. So most people watching us watching on Facebook. That's great. And you know what? Come join the Global Peace Tribe. Come into our Zoom room, and it's easy to do that. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com. That's globalpeacetribe.com and register. Just click on the link that says register for the new season. And once you register, you're going to get the links to the Zoom rooms for all of our shows for the next 3 months. Again, we do shows 3 or 4 times a week. For example, on Wednesday night, we had a beautiful show all about the embodiment of Gaia with the remarkable speaker, Raquel Spring, really kind of getting us ready for Earth Day. Here's the show you're watching right now, celebrating and previewing the New Living Expo. And there's the show I just talked about that we're doing tomorrow, Easter Sunday with Mary Magdalene. When you join us, you also, of course, come onto our email list. We send you the replays, the recordings of all of our previous shows. And you get a chance to join the Global Peace Tribe. And when you're in the Zoom room, that's where you get all the links. And we're constantly putting links in. There's a lot of chat going on because we've got regulars, a lot of people here who love each other. Like you saw how we rallied to pray for Sylvia and for Nitya. We are a beautiful, growing community. We just had a retreat in Los Angeles last week. So join the Global Peace Tribe. It's a very beautiful thing that's happening. We also really support the Global Peace Tribe works with the New Living Expo and different festivals. And we work every month with Global Coherence Pulse, the Global Coherence Pulse. And they have once a month, they do a big show. And they always do a show at noon Pacific time. And then we do a follow-up show, an Awakening World show with them that evening. So next week, it's going to be with Jennifer Hill and Dr. Mark Goulston, who's a brilliant, he combines science and spirituality in a very unique way. So definitely go to the Global Coherence Pulse next Saturday at 12 noon. And then that's going to lead into the Global Coherence Pulse collaboration with the Awakening World next week. And we have some wonderful presenters. Musically, Daniel Bologna is going to be back. You remember him. He's one of our more popular presenters, musical artists. And of course, Omashar will be with us. My co-host will be Jennifer Hill, and I love co-hosting with her. And then she's brought on some really wonderful healers and speakers. And the focus is how can we hurt less and love more? So that's going to be next Saturday night. So that's our Global Peace Tribe announcements for tonight. We have always a lot going on and exciting. And I'm going to bring back my partner, my co-host today, Kenny Kaufman. Hey, Ken, how's the show going so far?
Well, we have one booth left. That's pretty good. Everything else is full. Yeah, it's going super well. Yeah, I guess if you're on Facebook, if you go to the Marin Center ticketing thing for New Living Expo, you put in NLE6, that'll get you a $5 discount. Just because you're part of this Global Peace Tribe, you get to have that perk. It's not made out to the public much, so enjoy that. And yeah, we're just super thrilled to bring it a live show. It's been many years. I mean, 2020 never happened, and then it got postponed 6 times. It's crazy, but you know, this one feels like it's, you know, rooted well into Marin, and it feels like it's home for me because I live just 10 minutes north, where I get to go home every night. And I'm super grateful that, you know, people like Kimberly is here and going to be doing some major healings on people, and Moray is going to speak about that a little bit to introduce her when we get that time. But it's just it's going to be an exciting weekend, and you know, this happens once a year, and if you can make it, do what you can to make it. We have people traveling all around the world to come to the show, so super grateful.
I want to hug everybody. Come and give me a hug. I'm taller than you might think. We're going to go to Maria and Kimberly Meredith in a moment, but it's time for some music. It's Saturday night. We got to have music going on. And so we're going to go to beloved brother Omashar for his second song of the night.
Yeah, time to integrate so much information from so many angles. My mind's going, what do I do with this? I thought, well, I'll just play a song. How about that? So
what a concept.
Well, it's called What If? And here we are.
I love that video.
What if we could find a way to wipe away all tears and fears, all broken hearts, to clear the way for a brand new start? Now that we see and know the way to lift our day and shine the light for all to see, the way back home and the way to be free. Let our love lead the way. Let the light shine through all. Let our hearts and minds be free. from the fall. There is a way to see again, to be again, to know the truth and smile again. With an open heart we feel safe again. Now that we're free and we see that the way is to let our love show us a new way to be, and we relish the chance to be part of the dance that will recreate the world anew. What if we could find a way to wipe away all tears and fears, all broken hearts, to clear the way for a brand new start? Let our love lead the way. Let the light shine through all. Let our hearts and minds be free. As we rise up from the fall. There is a way to see again, to be again, to know the truth and smile again. With an open heart we feel safe again.
Hey, everybody, that's Twinkle Omashore for that wonderful song. Thank you, Eleanor Joy and Wowza and Charlotte and Susan and everyone for dancing.
And they rock. I sometimes have to turn that bit of the screen off because my focus gets all jiggy with the jigginess.
Well, I love how Eleanor Joy keeps growing. First it was just her, then she brought in Ian. Now she's got the animals. I mean, soon she's going to have the Vienna Boys Choir in her.
I know, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh, so thank you. We have one last Omashore song at the end of the show, but for now I get to introduce Maria, who I so appreciate all that you do, and she's going to introduce her very special friend.
All right. Thank you, Scott. What a beautiful show so far. And it is just going to stay as beautiful and bright. And I get to have the honor of bringing on the beautiful and spirited and just such a heart-centered, beautiful friend who has come into my life recently, actually through the Awakening World. And how you connect people, Scott, is just so amazing. So welcome, Kimberly Meredith. Kimberly is a best-selling author and world-renowned medical medium and healer who has helped thousands of people from around the world. Following an accident which resulted in 2 near-death experiences, she received miraculous healing gifts from the Holy Spirit. And you can find out all about her and her offerings on her website, thehealingtrilogy.com. And I will go ahead and put that also in the chat. And I'm going to turn it over to Kimberly. Welcome. We're so glad to have you here and so excited that you're going to be headlining the new Living Expo next weekend. What a gift to have you.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
We can.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, everybody. It's such a blessing to be here today. I have been, hi, Scott. Hi, Kenny. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Kimberly. We
I
love
had
you.
Hello, you guys. I have had a long day today. I just did a 2.5 hour event in Los Angeles, and it was a little hot. So I've a little bit out there right now with my channeling. It's been quite an afternoon in LA, so it was very interesting, and I'm so excited about coming to the expo this year. I can already feel the vibration going through my body. I am just thrilled this year to be there. You know, I love expos. I just love it. But for some reason, my guys just get so excited about being with Kenny. I just have this, I don't know, this, I love Ken so much. I just do. I love you, Kenny. You know that. And part of it is one of the first expos I ever started finding. I'm going to just share this, the energy of cancer and healing it through the Holy Spirit was the New Living Expo. And witnessing so many different types of energy frequencies in people's bodies, and growing now into not only the medical medium, but now I get messages from the other side, and I call them the chatty Cathys, because not only is it the scientists coming in and the doctors coming in, I hear, but it's the family members that want to come in and talk about your issues, relationships, and maybe how they want to direct your path. So it's going to be super fun this year coming to the expo. And my Friday night class is going to be a free lecture, and that's going to be touching in on your intuitive gifts, waking up to the fifth dimension. I have a book out right now called Awakening to the Fifth Dimension, Discovering Your Soul's Path to Healing. It's only been out about a year and a few months, and we've already sold about 20,000 copies. And that's a big deal. I'm a new author. So it just goes to show that people want to know what the fifth dimension is, and being a multidimensional person right now and growing and learning how to awaken our gifts. And my Saturday class, which I think is really interesting, how both days are at 5 o'clock, by the way. 5. Okay. It's going to be more about messages from the other side and getting into that fifth dimensional vibration. So if you know anybody that is going through any kind of illness, not feeling good, and also wanting maybe preventative, doesn't know how to find the root cause of their illness, these 2 workshops are important ones to hit. And I also want you to know that if you don't know who I am, I'm somebody that loves to work with the divine Christ consciousness. I am a person that's really directed to helping and serving you to awaken your own gifts. So in the class, not only will you get information about what's going on in your body, if you're not picked to get up on stage, someone else's reading could actually be your reading, even if you're not picked to get up on stage. And what's really cool about the workshops that the guides do, there's a vortex of healing that takes place. So when Ken said, you're going to get healing with Kimberly's guides, he's exactly correct. Because a lot of people that come out of the workshops, they'll often email me and say, you know, I didn't get a reading, but I got a healing. So it's really super cool. I can't say enough about the New Living Expo and Kenny Kaufman and how his heart goes into putting these expos on. And I'm fairly new. How many years have I been at the Expo, Ken? I think just 5 years.
Yeah, ever since I met you in LA, the Conscious Life Expo, when I saw and
Yeah.
heard from you and talked to
Yeah.
some people that got healings from you.
Yeah. So it's 2017. And how that happened was that Diana Maxwell, I found a breast lump in her breast. And it's okay because she came out and told people at the expo on a mic. And the spirit guides wanted it gone. And they laid hands on it and it dissolved. And so that's the fifth dimension. And so I'm so excited about coming.
Magical
Thanks
five.
for
Everything-
having me.
You're welcome. 555. You wanted the 5.
Yeah. And I'm so appreciative for being here today. So thank you, Scott, for having me.
Of course, I think each of us are going to share one quick story about this. Mine is that there was somebody when you were on the Awakening World that hired you, after seeing you on the Awakening World, and you helped direct them to the understanding that they had a serious cancer going on. And the gentleman whose wife you saved said, my God, this woman saved my life. So that'll be my recent Kimberly Meredith story. And I think Maria has one as well.
I do. So I had the opportunity to sit in the front row at Conscious Life Expo when Kimberly presented, and there was just such a captive audience and so much love in the room. It was just incredible. And she was scanning the room and she felt that somebody had a tumor in the room. And there was a man in the front row who came up and he was so emotional and scared. You just could feel his heart was scared because he didn't know what was going on, but there was a tumor on his neck. And within, 10, 15 minutes, Kimberly, you worked, probably not even 10, around that, we could literally see with our physical eyes that tumor was almost gone. I mean, it was just hardly there when we could feel and see it, with your hand, you could see it. And so it just goes to show just how miraculous the work that Kimberly does and really provides these miraculous healings that we can see with the physical eye. Wow. Thank you, Kimberly, for your work.
Thank you. Yeah, I do physically feel the energy, and it's so fun because tomorrow's Easter and it's been Passover, and I'm half Jewish, and I'm, but Jesus, we could get into that story another day. But anyway, I do feel the energy come through me and use me. And that man actually did email me back and say is actually down to nothing. The whole room, though, and that'll happen at the New Living Expo. It will happen. I know, because people find me. The whole room was a part of that. That was a co-healing. But the next morning when I woke up, I was feeling so elevated, like I could fly. I felt like I was being lifted. But the next morning when I woke up, I was like, ugh. I felt like back down again. So, but it is so amazing because we are in human form and we are still in a very dense dimension, but we are actually shifting into this fifth dimension. How I know that is because when I met Ken in 2017, when I was doing that out there, and I know he remembers how I was really very hardcore. I was jumping on top of people on beds. I remember when I was going, say the fifth dimension. I was like a Lady Gaga. I was like, say it now. And now I'm very light with it. I was even worse before because I would just be laying very, very in bed going, I can't get out of bed after it. And now I can jump up. It still feels it the next day, but now I'm much like, oh, I can get up now. So the world is shifting. So that's the good news. The world is shifting. It is getting lighter.
Kenny, do you want to share a story?
I'll just say that, coming to see Kimberly, and if you're lucky to get picked, you are definitely chosen. And it's not just Kimberly that picks you, it's higher power that picks you. So you deserve to come. And, when you hear somebody else getting a healing, just like Kimberly said, you get it too. I mean, when you start talking about healings and having people experience that, it's reverberating around the whole room. So everybody is going to get a healing who attends any of your talks and get you live in person. Wow, it's been a lot of years. So Thank you.
Well, for those who can't come to the expo, there are ways that you can connect with Kimberly. Thank goodness. And that is by going to her website. And again, I'll put it in the chat box. But for those of you who are watching on Facebook, the website is thehealingtrilogy.com. Thehealingtrilogy.com. Definitely make sure you give her your name and your email address so that you can be in touch with all that she's doing. Now, you'll be able to find her book on this website. There I go. I just subscribed. I think I've subscribed about 10 times now. Always tendency to do that. But you can learn all about Kimberly, of course, beyond her email, and you can book a session with her. And of course, there is right off the bat, 20th annual New Living Expo coming up.
I'm a fan.
With Matt Kahn is going to be there, which is going to be amazing. And Eben Alexander, who we're going to hear from next. He's our next guest, that we're going to have on the show right now. And so all sorts of remarkable people. And tell us a little bit about the book. What would be a reason for someone to make sure they get this book?
I feel like, thank you, Scott. I feel like the book is a really cool guidebook to keep by your bed, to take on vacation, to kick back with. If you want to learn, a lot of everybody in this community knows a lot about the fifth dimension, of course, but something that's cool about this book, and I even have people that are really advanced students of the fifth dimension say, I didn't really know about well, I didn't know about you, Kimberly, really. I didn't know about your near-death experiences, and I didn't know about your childhood and sort of things like that, and how you communicate with the different specific kinds of codes that you have. I didn't know about the scientific testing that goes on. I didn't know about these institutes that they did this type of stuff. That's in there. And I didn't know about the miraculous miracle healings that can take place. I didn't know about the doctors that would test you for that. I didn't know that there's specific kinds of exercises. There's a lot of dimensional practices I put in there, and there's specific types of supplements and diet plans. It's sort of like a cross between a Martha Stewart and fifth dimensional, third dimensional, a conscious book. And it's sort of like if you want to pick up something and go, I'd like to make a smoothie today, and a fifth dimensional smoothie. I'd like to do a detox remedy. And I'd like to say, get into something really deep and heavy. So I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but people like it. People just like it. People just like it.
I'm going to always think of you as the Martha Stewart of spiritual living. There you go. That's it.
It's a pathway. It's an easy pathway to learning about the fifth dimension and moving out of 3D. And it even talks for you, it talks about 3D to 5D relationships. And the only thing I think my book is missing is a quiz.
Let's make a quiz.
I would have went back and put a quiz, like, what dimension do you think you are in right now? And what relationship do you think you're in? Are you in a 3D relationship or 5D relationship?
That's a good idea. Eden Amadora, who I think she's going to be on the show next week. She has this great quiz, about what kind of a beloved are you, so quizzes like that are really fun. I know you got to go, but I'm going to ask you one question from Laura Chamberlain, and she asks, Kimberly, do you only make physical diagnosis and healings, or do you provide spiritual diagnosis as well? Oh, you muted, Kimberly.
I'd say I do. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. I am a spiritual counselor. So I do a lot of emotional and spiritual work. And I love both. And I wouldn't say it's me. A lot of it's, the guides coming in and doing that. They assist with that. Yeah. And I have a mentorship program that I really love. I love doing my mentorship program.
Beautiful. Well, you can go to thehealingtrilogy.com. That's where you can order the book. You can book a session. And look at this. She was on the cover of Women's Magazine in December. And I think I just saw you're on the cover of another magazine coming up, right?
I am. I'm trying to break the pathway for spiritual healers and women to be empowered to get into the crossover into the global world of entertainment and not just stay in the spiritual world, but also get into the whole globe. So it's the first time a spiritual teacher has been on Women's Fitness magazine, and also an entertainment front cover of an entertainment magazine with Eric Roberts and Dee Dee Pfeiffer from Big Sky. So I got on that.
That's exciting. Well, Kimberly, you are a superstar, and we are grateful that we know you. And we look forward to seeing you next week at the Expo.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
We love you, Kimberly.
Hey, I'm going to bring Kenny on because we've got our second to last speaker. Has Danny showed up yet? Where's Danny?
I don't see him yet.
Okay, so we're going to go to the Eben Alexander video. And we had Eben on the show when we did a show on compassionate death and dying and understanding about NDEs. Kenny, is there anything you'd like to add in your introduction of Eben?
I think I just say I met him like 7 or 8 years ago at a show in Chicago, and I was just totally blown away with his story and his journey being a neurosurgeon and having a near-death experience and writing about it from the medical side of it. Very interesting topic, and I'm will obviously hear about it in the talk that he's going to do today. But I just been another kind of example. I've been wanting to get new speakers for this new venue, and he fit the bill and said yes. So I'm super grateful again.
Well, wait till, for those of you who don't know Dr. Alexander, he's brilliant. He has a lot to share. And so here is, I did an interview with him a few days ago. He wasn't able to join us live tonight. He was at Easter and either Easter or Passover plans. But let's take a look at the interview I did, and he shares a lot of wisdom. So get ready, everybody, because you're about to learn and hear a lot. Dr. Alexander, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we are playing this during our Saturday version of The Awakening World. And please tell us what you are most excited about and what you want to share with our audience tonight.
Well, I can tell you I'm very excited about returning to the New Living Expo. I haven't been there in several years now, COVID, many other features, but there's been a tremendous amount of progress in the work that I do. And that is very pertinent for those who are interested in, my message as delivered in the book Proof of Heaven, the book Living in a Mindful Universe. All of that has expanded tremendously, even in the last 3 or 4 years. This is collaborative work with other scientists, and it really indicates that we are due for a tremendous paradigm shift in our understanding of the nature of reality. The predominant kind of worldview in our modern culture, scientifically, philosophically supported, is one of materialism. And yet the evidence in many, many ways tells us materialism or physicalism is false. And it's really all about the relationship between the mind and the brain. And, we all live in this kind of mental model of something, but we need a deeper understanding of what that model is based on. And what is the supporting reality out there. The good news is this scientific revolution, and I stress how important it is, that it is fundamentally right at the core of modern quantum physics, neuroscience, philosophy of mind, parapsychology, all the evidence for non-local consciousness. And what it does is it takes science to the next level. But the interesting thing about the next level is it fully engages our notion of spirituality and of the concept of soul. And this is something that I will go into in great detail when I'm there at New Living Expo, but a tremendous amount of kind of new information and consolidation that I would say is very refreshing and liberating, and in many ways has taken us much further towards this goal of understanding the nature of reality, leaving behind the simplistic, bleak and paltry fiction of materialism, which pretends the brain creates consciousness. In fact, it would tell you you don't even have free will. that we're all just chemical reactions, electron fluxes, following the laws of physics, chemistry, biology. So there would be no way to even have free will. But quantum physics opens the door wide to the reality of free will in our emerging reality. Sorry, my lighting just went off. But that's what I'll be going into, including a lot of scientific evidence, spiritual journeys, collaboration with other scientists around the world. And to me, it's very exciting. The evidence leads only in one direction. We'll never be going back down into that bleak and paltry fiction that pretends that we're physical beings that are birth to death, nothing more, that we're biological machines, and that we're not eternal souls that are interconnected through the binding force of love. And this is something that's very apparent from the near-death experience community going back thousands of years, that ultimately the sharing of this one mind is also a process of realizing that we're all here together. We're in this together. And it emphasizes the golden rule, which is something else I'll be discussing, how we really must treat each other as we would like to be treated. And this is kind of fundamentally written into the fabric of the universe. That's all what I'll be going into. And to me, it's very exciting. And I love getting back out to California to this group. I mean, some of our biggest fans for the last decade have been West Coast. And so it's very good to be returning there to actually give a presentation live. I'm very excited about it. And it will also include a meditation, because a huge part of this is not just understanding the scientific relevance of this revolution for each and every one of us and for culture at large, but also an acknowledgement that each and every one of us individually has the power to pursue this body of knowledge very deeply on our own. And for that, I recommend powerful tools for meditation, for going within. Once we realize that our mind is shared with the mind of the universe, we realize that going within is actually going out into the universe at large. And so we will actually share a sacred acoustics meditation that I will offer at the end of my presentation, and then discuss some of the ramifications of binaural beat brainwave entrainment like sacred acoustics, and why it seems to be so powerful at enlivening spiritual journeys and meditation, and allowing us to come to a much deeper understanding of the nature of our higher soul and its relationship with the universe at large.
Wow, I look forward to having that experience. Now, I'll be at the expo. A lot of our audience will be able to be there, but a lot of our audience is in other parts of the country and other parts of the world. So especially for the people who won't be able to be with you in person at the expo, but who are intrigued by what you have to say, I guess I want to ask you, are you optimistic about humanity's ability to shift consciousness fast enough to manage the problems of the world, the problems that we're facing, especially, say, climate change?
Well, I am very optimistic, and that optimism comes from an understanding of the evidence and the scientific community and where it's headed with all this, and where that will ultimately lead humanity. And you're exactly right. This awakening is something that in many ways is long overdue, but certainly seems to be our destiny, given all of our history over the last few centuries. And that's where I gain tremendous optimism, because where I see it, we are all due for a fundamental kind of upshift in our understanding of the nature of reality. This is away from egocentric, kind of narcissistic, and in many ways ignorant approaches to things that are very greedy, like our addiction to fossil fuels, our continued pollution of the world with plastics and with other toxins, threatening the species, basically 1 million species with extinction over the next few decades if we don't take action. And not only that, I think it should be crystal clear to anyone who's paying attention, climate change is absolutely real. I mean, every time the UN International Commission comes out with a new report, it's much worse than the last report. And we realize that our ignorance has led us into this cul-de-sac that is a very deadly place to be indeed. But I believe it's within our power to change this world very fundamentally for the better, and to truly take stewardship for the planet. We call ourselves Homo sapiens. Sapiens means wise. Well, I would say there's a lot of wisdom in what I've seen in the world in advanced medicines, communication, tremendous kind of growth in many ways. And yet our culture at large is in deep danger because of a lot of the technological issues like our addiction to fossil fuels and our ongoing pollution that seem to be, out of control. And this is where I think taking the higher good, not focusing on egotistical things like profit for corporations, but focusing on the well-being of all of our citizens will take reign. In fact, it's really time for the people of the world to basically take their power back, away from big corporations, away from autocratic leaders who in many ways are very self-serving and couldn't care less about the rest of us. It's time for the people at large to really go with where this revolution will lead us. And that's where I have tremendous optimism in what I see of the human spirit, especially when I look at our youth, at the way the youth are, taking up arms to, combat those who would continue to support, this addiction to fossil fuels and this very deadly dance with carbon dioxide and planetary warming. It's going to lead us into a runaway greenhouse effect that ultimately will just lead to sheer misery and extinction for most of the life on this planet. So it's high time that we became truly wise and in fact started to look at the bigger view, how things are going to be 10 and 20 and 30 years from now, and take appropriate action so that humans and animals and plants won't be suffering under the impact of this very ill-thought action of our kind of technological civilization to date. It is high time we grew up, matured, and took proper stewardship of this planet.
Absolutely. And that's why our show is called The Awakening World, because we all have to wake up. And hopefully we are. I'm going to go to your website because I want to spend a little bit of time just asking you a few questions. First of all, very excited about this new book. Tell us about living in a mindful universe.
Well, thank you for asking. I look at the book Proof of Heaven as a big question mark. It simply says, wow, these things happen, but how in the world can they be? Living in a mindful universe is the true proof of heaven. That's where I start really consolidating the science on this. And one of the best parts of that book is really the contribution from my life partner, Karen Newell, who I met back in 2011. And she is a very wise spiritual mentor. She's also extremely intelligent, very quick to pick up on all the scientific concepts. And she helped in many ways to make that book very accessible, really to everyone. It's understandable by everyone who would express an interest in this. And it really consolidates all the different lines of evidence from a scientific and philosophical perspective that support the reality of one mind, of this kind of God mind that we all share. And that, of course, NDEers have been talking about returning to. But then when you enlarge the discussion and include so many other factors, including, for example, past life memories in children suggestive of reincarnation, which is a huge part of the scientific database out of the University of Virginia Division of Perceptual Studies. This is all stuff that we cover in detail in that book and consolidate all of these arguments to propose this primordial mind that we're all bound together through the forces of love, kindness, compassion. That's what NDEers witness so fully. And once you realize NDEs, near-death experiences, are not hallucinations, but there's tremendous commonality in the themes that they have given us as human beings. And that commonality stretches back thousands of years across all continents, across all belief systems. And it really leads us to a deeper understanding of who we actually are and where we're headed. And that is where our book, Living in a Mindful Universe, which has been highly recommended and endorsed by many of the global thought leaders in this field. For example, Ed Kelly, Bruce Grayson, and Jim Tucker, all of UVA, have supported Living in a Mindful Universe. So has Dean Radin from Institute of Noetic Sciences, Dr. Pim van Lommel, one of the most respected and renowned investigators of the near-death experience, a Dutch cardiologist who's been in this field for many decades. There are many other scientific supporters of that book. And I can just tell you that it is a pathway towards where this world is headed. And it also has a tremendous amount of information in meditation and in helping the individual seeker to come into this knowledge on their own and through their own mechanisms of discovery. Personal experience is the ultimate guide to understanding. Meditation, centering prayer, these are all ways that we can connect with higher soul and basically with the soul of the universe, with that great spirit that so many have encountered in NDEs. I mean, there's one fact about near-death experiences writ large across all cultures and centuries, et cetera, is that 90% of people who have had these experiences come back believing and knowing from personal experience the reality of a loving personal force at the core of the universe. I won't call it God, but you cannot just limit this force by labeling it as God or Allah, Brahman, Vishnu, Jehovah, Yahweh, Great Spirit, because it's real, it's been experienced, but it rises above any particular religious ideology. Really, the more they all support the concepts of unconditional love, kindness, compassion, mercy, acceptance, when necessary, forgiveness, the closer they are to the deep truth of our existence. And this is what we present in Living in a Mindful Universe. And of course, a lot of that will be the material I'll be covering when I'm at the New Living Expo, including a lot of material that's happened even since that book was published in 2017. It remains a very cutting edge scientific expose of this paradigm shift that's going on, which has great implications for all of us, because it truly allows us to manifest the free will of our higher soul and bringing our ideal world into fruition.
You know, everybody, you can learn much more about Dr. Alexander by going to his website, and it's his name, Eben, E-B-E-N, Alexander.com. You can pick up the book at any number of ways, Amazon. And also, what I always encourage people, take a look at this website. He provides a lot of really fascinating articles, videos. Of course, we will all be seeing him at the New Living Expo. And he's got a couple of other things coming up that are online events, spontaneous encounters with deceased loved ones, an online workshop, and then an actual conversation with him at greater length, and that'll be taking place on May 21st. So go to the website and always put in your name and your email address and subscribe so you can hear from Dr. Alexander, because obviously you have a lot to share with us, sir. It's always
Well, thank you. And the other thing I'd like to share about that website is if people get there and they'll see on that welcome page, your 33-day journey into the heart of consciousness. I highly recommend that. That is a workbook right there, your 33-day journey. You click there, leave your first name and an email address, and you're off and running on a 33-day drip email campaign where each day for 33 days, you receive one of the major concepts from the book, Living in a Mindful Universe. And then we discuss it briefly, but then it's followed by a tremendous amount of discourse by people from around the world. More than 10,000 people have taken this course. It's all for free, and it's to help bring people up to speed with this. And many people, I would say, have taken that course and come away saying they were so grateful for those elements that were taught to them via that course and the book, Living in a Mindful Universe, because it completely changed their life for the better. Reaffirmed in many cases what they knew about eternity of soul, about their connection with others, with the power of love, that love can be tremendously healing in our lives in every way. So I would encourage people to pursue that. The other thing I would recommend is while the pandemic raged and all of our jobs were canceled, Karen had the brilliant idea of interviewing many of the people that we would have been on stage with, presenting around the world about these concepts. Thought leaders in the scientific world, as well as other experiencers, many people who have something important to say about these concepts. Those interviews are available for free. Go to inner, I-N-N-E-R, sanctumcenter.com, and you can learn a lot more. There's several options there, but one of them is that whole set of free webinars that we did that were interviews with many thought leaders in this field. And other people, have been through those interviews and have been very complimentary about how beneficial they were in their own journey. So I highly recommend that to people too. Inner Sanctum Center.
Got it. That's innersanctumcenter.com.
Yes, sorry, not the Inner Sanctum Holdings.
Okay.
I like that rocket.
Yeah, so I'll go back and I'll get that. Inner Sanctum Center.
Center.com.
Okay, there we go. Well, thank you very much for being with us today. And thank you for your wisdom. I'm looking forward to meeting you. And here we go. I did find it properly. InnerSanctumCenter.com. Expand your mind and explore your inner world. Beautiful.
Yes. There you go. There's a lot of information there that can help people get up to speed on all of this. So,
will Karen be with you at the New Living Expo?
well, I'm sorry, she will not be there. I wish that were so. She does a beautiful job with these meditations, but we will present a meditation at the end of my session that will be with Karen's recorded guidance.
Okay, great.
And that's the real magic there. I use sacred acoustics every day. I've been doing that for more than a decade. I've found it to be tremendously helpful in my own journey. And of course, Karen and I have presented many a workshop with sacred acoustics tones and helped thousands of people get on board with this revolution through their own personal journeying in meditation with differential frequency brainwave entrainment. So it's a very exciting time. I look forward to getting back out there to the West Coast with friends out there and a beautiful audience. I'm very excited about returning there in mid-April.
Great. Well, I'll look forward to seeing you. I'll come to your workshop and I'll look forward to seeing you at the Expo. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and for sharing this journey of the awakening world with our ever-growing audience. Thank you so much, Dr. Alexander.
Scott, thank you very much too. And thank you all for what you do to get this out to the world. You're doing a great service to humanity.
Thank you.
Whew, he sure had a lot to say. And there's Danny Sheehan. Danny Sheehan is with us. We're happy about that. Danny is going to be on in just a moment. But I wanted to go to Maria for a moment and see if there's anything that you want to share or anything that came up in the chat box from Dr. Alexander.
Yeah, just a few things came in today. And I really love, Wolf had shared this idea with dreaming with the creator. He loves it, understanding the creator dream, count me in. And, George he had remembered a quote, going within is actually going without. I can see that now that I hear him say that. And Dia, Eben, dear man, was twice at the Sun Valley Wellness Festival in Idaho. His partner, he was saying that he and his partner have, I believe, a meditation CD. Karen Newell, she's saying that is priceless, Seeking Heaven, and I see her bringing it up on her screen. So if everyone can take a peek at that, or maybe you can pin her.
Dia's pulling it up.
Yeah, she's showing the cover of his CD here. So thank you, Dia, for that.
Okay.
You definitely should check that out. And yeah, and I know Scotty had shared too that Eben and his partner have had some incredible music journeys, sacred acoustics, working with the brainwaves. So just so much positive and beautiful comments here about his work. So I just know that he's well loved in this community, and we're so excited to meet him out in the Bay Area next weekend.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I see right now Ayada saying it was phenomenal. Scotty enjoying it. So we love your comments. All right. I am really excited. Maria, we've got Danny Sheehan. And Danny is one of the most, he's such a humble guy, considering how involved he's been in really changing the world. He has been doing the hard stuff for a long, long time. And he keeps popping up. He's helping, Indigenous elders in Standing Rock. He's helping to bring, what's really going on with the Pentagon and UFOs. He's an incredible, tireless activist, and one of the people I respect the most that's been on our show. And to kind of introduce him a little bit more, I'm going to bring our co-host Kenny back on. Ken, what do you want to? Oh, you just took a bite of something.
Well, as a leader in a great movement, Danny Sheehan has truly liberated a lot of people and brought a lot of consciousness to what's going on in the world. And he'll be speaking in the UFO panel at 4 o'clock on Saturday. And then he does his own workshop kind of late on Saturday, but it's worth staying for. It's 7 o'clock to 8:30. So Danny, take it away.
Terrific. Thank you, Kenny. All right. No, I appreciate getting together with everybody here in preparation for this coming weekend. Tomorrow's the big day, Easter, when a lot of the people who are members of the more traditional religious communities are celebrating Easter. It's Passover. It's also the high holiday for Islam. This is quite an extraordinary period. Now, the fact that it coincides with the spring equinox is not coincidental, as I think we all know. This is a major kind of planet-wide celebration of the turning of our planet back toward the sun, tipping back toward the sun after the long winter. This is a major celebration, and it's an appropriate time for the gathering of the New Living Expo. I'm going to be talking about two of the major projects that we're working on at our Romero Institute. The Romero Institute is the successor to our Christic Institute, which was based in Washington, D.C. for 20 years. That was, I had done the Pentagon Papers case for the New York Times earlier. I had worked on the Watergate burglary case, getting James McCord, one of the burglars, to write the letter to Judge Sirica, blowing the whistle on Richard Nixon and the Watergate plumbers. I'd done a number of those things, including Wounded Knee for the ACLU, et cetera. We then did the Karen Silkwood case and set up the major Christic Institute to work on additional cases, which led us to the Iran-Contra case, where we're the ones that exposed the off-the-shelf enterprise of Oliver North, and it led to the major congressional hearings that took place there. But people may remember that when George Bush Sr. pardoned the first 6 of the people that we got criminally indicted by Special Prosecutor Lawrence Walsh, they revoked, the IRS was directed by George Bush Sr. To revoke our 501c3 tax exempt charter at the Christic Institute, because they said that nobody that we had accused of all of these crimes had ever been ultimately convicted. That was, of course, because he pardoned them, the first 6 of them. And we immediately became the Romero Institute, and we've been operating in California for the last 20 years. We've, as was mentioned by Scott and by Ken, that we represented Chase Iron Eyes at the Standing Rock uprising against the Dakota Access Pipeline. He was the principal person charged by the Tiger Swan private military corporation that was hired by the Energy Transfer Partners in the Dakota Access Pipeline people to try to convict them for leading an uprising against the pipeline among the Lakota people and other indigenous people of North America. We're engaged now in 2 major projects that we're going to be talking about at the New Living Expo this coming weekend. One of them is the passage of a series of statutes here in California that are giving access to low-income and middle-income people access at a discounted rate to purchase electric vehicles, to draw down the carbon emissions in California. And also that was Senate Bill 1230 that we succeeded in getting passed. That is going to provide a consolidation of all of the incentive programs for low and middle income people to subsidize the purchase of an electric vehicle. As you know, the number of vehicles that are in California virtually constitute a huge percentage of the automobiles that are in the entire United States. So to shifting the vehicles in California over to electric vehicles that are non-carbon generating and CO2 generating, this is going to reduce by 40% the global climate gas emissions of the vehicles in California. We're now in the process of, we've drafted and are getting cleared through the legislature, Senate Bill 823, which is going to give a discounted rate for all low and middle income people to the electric charging stations that are going to be built throughout the state of California, so that low and middle income people can get reduced rates in the charging of their vehicles. That's a major issue that's going on now at our Romero Institute, and I'm going to be bringing people up to date on that at the meetings this weekend. We're also drafting a major 350-page federal criminal racketeering act criminal indictment against the 6 major oil corporations in the state of California, pointing out the fact that they've been engaged for the past 25 years in a criminal fraud, deceiving people and regulators about the direct proximate relationship between the sale and burning of their products and the onset of global climate change. These are 2 of the major projects that we're doing in our Let's Green California project out of the Romero Institute. And secondly, I have gotten our board to pass the creation of a new 501c3 wholly integrated auxiliary of our Romero Institute called the New Paradigm Institute. This is where a lot of the focus for the weekend is going to be in the panel and in the workshop that I'm going to be doing, because as many of you probably know, I served for over 20 years as the chief legal counsel for the Disclosure Project with Dr. Stephen Greer, and I was legal counsel for the citizens' hearings on disclosure that Stephen Bassett organized in 2013. And I am legal counsel for Lou Elizondo. He was the executive director of the top secret investigation that was going on in the United States Pentagon of the UFO phenomenon, who, along with Chris Mellon, was responsible for bringing forward to the New York Times the kind of groundbreaking videos of the UFOs that were published by the New York Times in December of 2017. And they have both been instrumental in getting the United States Congress to pass a new law, which the vast majority of people in the country don't know anything about yet. This was Senate Bill 4503 and House Bill 7776, which have established a new major federal office to which Congress has now mandated that all of the military services of the United States, all of the United States intelligence agencies, all of the Defense Department agencies, and all of the private defense contractors who have any contracts with the United States government reveal to the Senate Intelligence Committee and the House Intelligence Committee all of the information that they have and that they've had ever since January of 1945 about the UFO phenomenon. This is an extraordinary development that has occurred. This is the United States Congress stepping forward and publicly demanding that all of this information be turned over to them, and they are going to be trying to release as much of this information as possible to the American public and to the world. This is a major beginning of the disclosure event that people have been campaigning for the last 75 years, ever since the major revelations at Roswell. And so this is an extraordinary development that has occurred. And this has led to the Catholic Church, even under Pope Benedict, the previous Pope, who was really quite conservative, to issue a major public statement, an official statement on behalf of the Catholic Church from the Vatican press office, stating that now has become the time, now that it has become clear that much earlier than had been previously anticipated, we're going to be discovering life elsewhere in the universe. And that the time has therefore arrived for a major, important conversation among our people about the philosophical and theological questions that are posed to our human family by the discovery of life elsewhere in our universe. Now, I had, in a previous incarnation for a decade, had been legal counsel to the United States Jesuit Order in Washington, D.C. This was my first encounter with the major information in a professional capacity about UFOs when I was asked to become special counsel to the investigation that was conducted at the request of President Jimmy Carter to have the Congressional Research Service, Science and Technology Division, prepare for President Carter 2 major classified reports on the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence and the relationship of this to a number of the sightings of the UFOs. I've been involved in this particular field since the spring of 1977 professionally, as I've outlined. And now has become the time to that I flew immediately to meet with the director of the Pontifical Observatory in Rome, at Castel Gandolfo, Father Jose Gabriel Funes, in my capacity as the previous legal counsel for the Jesuit National Social Ministry Office here in Washington, D.C. And I asked him about this announcement that was made by the Catholic Church. And he said that when we're talking about the discovery of life elsewhere in the universe, he said, we're not talking about the discovery of just some single cell life form under some frozen ocean on some distant moon in a far off galaxy. We're talking about the existence of another highly intelligent, highly technologically developed, but distinctly non-human species right here in our Milky Way galaxy. So this is an extraordinary set of developments that is transpiring right in front of everybody, and yet a substantial number of people are not aware of what's happening. So I've been asked to come to the New Living Expo and to set forth in a major workshop for everyone what the details are of these latest developments, both those developments within the global religious communities that have called for this major conversation among the laity, and also the United States Congress that has now demanded that the information in the possession of our Defense Department and intelligence agencies about the UFOs and extraterrestrial intelligence be turned over to Congress so they can prepare to start sharing this information with the public. These are the issues that I'm going to be dealing with, and I'm going to be addressing them on a strategic, tactical, and logistical level so that we can deal with the logistics of the particular committee that's been set up, this new office for resolving these UFO sightings, the more tactical issue of the Congress of the United States gathering all this information and preparing to reveal portions of it to the American public and to the world, and the strategic, most important level of really instigating and participating in this profound conversation about the philosophical and theological questions that are posed to our human family by this discovery of this extraterrestrial civilization. Now, that these questions are a lot more than just the philosophical and theological questions. They're economic questions. They're questions about public policy, what the impact is going to be on the geopolitics of our planet, what effect this has on the social psychology of our human family, this realization that not only are we not the physical center of the universe, which was revealed to us by Copernicus and Galileo, back when they realized that our Earth revolved around the sun, and that our Earth was not the center physically of the universe. But the human family very quickly substituted for our being the physical center of the universe the supposition that we were at the apex of the pyramid of all sentient life in the universe. Anywhere, our human family was at the pinnacle of intelligence and sentient consciousness. And this is going to be quite clearly thrown into question by the discovery of another highly intelligent, highly technologically developed civilization that has in fact developed the technology of being able to travel at superluminal speeds throughout the universe to actually come to our planet from elsewhere in the galaxy. So this is going to be a profound confrontation with the existent worldviews of our human family that exist along the spectrum of the traditional 7 major human worldviews, which are the authoritarian, the reactionary, the conservative, the moderate, the liberal, the progressive, and the utopian worldviews, which is the subject of comparative social ethics on the planet among these different worldviews. we're going to have to develop an entirely new human worldview, because all of the other 7 major worldviews in the octave of human worldviews have been human-centered, that we are the center of all sentient life in the universe. And so therefore, we're going to have a new worldview that begins to integrate our human family in a much larger context, not only of any given single other highly intelligent and highly technologically developed, but distinctly non-human species in our galaxy, but the existence of multiple such civilizations in our Milky Way galaxy, and the existence of over 500 billion other galaxies. This is going to be a profound discussion that has to be undertaken by our human family. And I'm going to be privileged to be able to participate through this New Paradigm Institute, to be the 501c3 organization. It is not only going to be watchdogging the Senate oversight of this new law, to mandate that the intelligence communities and Defense Department and military services turn over all this information to the Congress, and also to make sure that the Congress releases as much as possible of this information to the world. But we're also going to be engaging in the actual substantive discussion of these profound philosophical, theological, economic, geopolitical, and legal questions that are going to confront our human family by the full realization that we are not alone in this universe. Now, that has a very direct impact on this entire issue of human consciousness, the consciousness that we almost inevitably share with other sentient life forms in our galaxy and in our universe. So this becomes the pivot point of our movement into an entire new paradigm of human existence that shares this common consciousness with other beings in our universe, even though they are of a different species than we. So this is going to be the subject matter of our workshop at 7 o'clock, from 7 o'clock until 8:30 on Saturday, the 15th of April coming up. I'll also be on the panel earlier in the afternoon, as Ken has pointed out, at 4 o'clock, which will be a specific panel of people discussing the UFO issue. And I speak from the perspective of former general counsel to the United States Jesuit Order of the Catholic Church, the largest and most sophisticated intellectual order of the Catholic Church that runs most of their universities and is the major diplomatic corps for the Vatican. So that's going to be an extraordinarily stimulating set of conversations, and I invite everybody to come to that 7 o'clock workshop. We're going to have as much space as is necessary to accommodate everyone, and we're going to actually undertake some of the conversation to start getting people's views on these philosophical and theological and even social, psychological, and economic questions that we're going to have to address as a human family in the very near future. So that's what I'm all about, and that's what we're going to be doing this weekend.
Let's just take a minute to twinkle this incredible guy, really. I mean, it's amazing, Danny, all that you have done and are doing. I do want to read a couple comments, then I'm going to bring Ken back on too. But I think Laura puts it good. I vote for Daniel Sheehan to speak for humanity when we have official contact with ETs. Absolutely. And more people, just so many comments right now. And it's really true. I mean, somebody's saying, how come we're not having an entire show with Danny on the Awakening World? Well, we will do that. We did a couple of years ago. Danny and Mark Sims and I had a 2-hour conversation. And Danny, it's time for us to do that again.
Sure.
I also want to just remind people that catch him at the Expo on Saturday night. And then the next Monday the 17th, he'll be at the Sunrise Center in Corte Madera for a couple of hours. And I put all that information into the chat box. I'm going to bring up our fearless leader, Ken, here.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, Daniel, it's going to be great seeing you and hearing more about this. It just seems like every quickly evolving, for the 75 years. It seems like the last 6 months to a year, it's really taken off. So
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
information you're going to give us, I'm sure we all can't wait, but we are going to record a lot of these sessions. So look at the New Living Expo website, sign up on the mail list to get notifications of which recordings we do have. We just found a company just recently in the last week to record, otherwise we wouldn't have it. So who are we doing? Miss Caroline next?
Caroline Casey, but before we do that, I want to just really take people to his website, the Romero Institute. And again, we got more comments in the last 5 minutes as you were talking, Danny. So people want to learn a lot more about you. It's all at the romeroinstitute.org, romeroinstitute.org. And I mean, he's amazing. He's working on social activism, indigenous rights, environmental, and keeping the government clean on so many different things. Danny, I have just the greatest respect for you. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Scotty.
I look forward to seeing you next Saturday.
Terrific. I'll see everybody there.
All right. All right. Well, we are going to close with the incredible Caroline Casey.
Caroline.
Saving the best for last. Right?
Caroline.
And hey, hey, Danny. Danny was my star,
How are you, dear?
interviewee guest on the Visionary Activist Show for years. Our number one when we sold cassettes, Danny.
That's right. I do remember that. I do.
That was great. It's good to cahoot with you again.
Far out. I love it.
Yeah.
I'll see you there this weekend.
You will.
Yes, you guys can cahoot together again, that'd be fun.
Well, it's the confluencing of allies, that it's a good time.
I'll just mention before Caroline, she's going to be on the 15th at 2:00 for it. You get a whole 2 hours. I'm sure that's a magical date. 4/15/23. I don't know. Maybe you can tell us more about that date and other things that you have on your mind. Go for it.
Right. Well, let's step into the traveling now, right? Let's I like to think magic is a willingness to cooperate with everything. So I've just come from the Pioneers Conference where I've presented for 23 years. I do the astrological, mythological, political, with music, call in what's needed. So astrology really is the original language of participatory interrelatedness. And so each planet really represents a living quality of intelligence that resides within us and connects us to the world. So even right now, as I speak the planets, I will translate them. But so I'm on a tour, which I call the Majnun Endogenous Indigenuity Tour. Majnun means crazy for the divine. And I learned that when I was in Syria with wonderful friend Deborah Felmuth, and we stopped outside the Baghdad Cafe in the middle of the desert and outside Palmyra, and there was this fabulous Bedouin, and he had fossils and altars and magic things everywhere, and he was so playful. And my friend Deborah said, "How did this happen?" He goes, "Majnun, crazy for the divine." And indigenous and endogenous indigenuity. Endogenous means, we have receptors for like DMT and cannabis. We have receptors for mythology. We have receptors for wisdom, and again, whatever we speak to, we're calling it forth. So language crafting is part of it. We say one definition of maturity is to have access to all of our resources, all of our skills. So this beautiful language, we'll just do a little bit now of what I'll be doing actually at Open Secret on Thursday at 6, and then a longer language crafting, magic participating event with at the New Living Expo. That's Saturday 2 to 4. But yes, what fun, what a great time to gather. So in all languages, the word vessel means container and boat. In all languages. It's just wonderful. So we are here now, even in this little microdose way. This is our vessel, our cauldron of cooking things. And the word craft means power from dedication. And it also means boat. So our craft, our dedication to our craft, even right now, this moment, makes our boat sturdy in the wild seas. So off we go. Just a little bit of the astrological part. So each planet represents, our inner democracy. Saturn is the part of us that defines things, dedicates, takes vows. And so it is the part of us that we most tend to outsource its authority, outsource to sociopathic dingbats who are the lowest devolutionary nadir of our rogue species, as evidenced all around us. Danny knows well, we all know well. And, Thursday, the Tennessee Senate booting out, two, Black representatives who were standing with the youth, and the youth were chanting, ban books, ban drag, kids are still in body bags, right? And the two Black representatives who stood with them were kicked out. Biden, Harris are like, this is outrageous democracy. So many ways to participate. And one is, so we want to insource our own authority just now, from where we've scattered it out there, and this is a daily practice, because whenever we get panicked or frightened, we've outsourced our authority, and it's like, pull it back in. All of these practices. And to insource our authority is to suck the chi out of external authoritarianism. It's the inner and outer kind of dynamic. So part of the dance of now, and again, I'll speak the astrology, and you can, if you know it, that's great. And if you don't, just let it kind of wash over you for what's useful. So, right, we're in the, as Danny mentioned, we time this way holy week by, Easter is the first Sunday after the first full moon after the vernal equinox. So here we are. So the full moon just a couple of days ago, it pulls everything up. Ooh. And now we're in the crypt. Now we're Crypt Saturday. Tomorrow's resurrection, right? See, we work with everything. So the sun is in Aries right now, right next to little planetoid Chiron. So mentor. A lot of astrologers insist on calling Chiron the wounded healer, but Chiron's bored with that, because it's true he could heal where he'd been wounded, but he never complained and he never talked about it, and it's not his chief feature. And it's a kind of modern covering up of the most important part. 2,500 years ago, Chiron was the first mentor. He's a centaur. He's a centaur mentor, as Steve Behrman says, going to take a centaur mentor journey. So he lives in a cave because he's half horse, but he is the most knowledgeable, kindest, and cultured of all beings. So he really represents the right relationship of wild nature, thin membrane, human culture. So he's reporting in for duty, in a sense. And he starts a school for future cultural heroes like ourselves, right? To dedicate, to get them ready for their contribution to culture. Their tasks are impossible, as are ours, and they always succeed after they study with Chiron. So in Chiron's mythology, to be underestimated is considered a positive strategic advantage, because if you're going to do something impossible, might as well make it a surprise. And I like that when people go, oh, whaley, those people don't respect me, or they won't let me in the academic, whatever the thing is. And it's like, that's excellent. You get into Chiron's school. How fortunate. And it's part of our, our undulation, We know that in the world, the egregious imbalance we're imposing on all of our kin, the sky rivers are losing their capacity to undulate. The gigantic 5,000-mile sargassum seaweed moving towards the beaches of Florida and Mexico, having lost its mooring in the Sargasso Sea because, again, the currents are messed up. So just even on another level, just even now, undulating is good. And then when we move it into language craft, there's a pandemic, increase of the use of the word impact, right? Impact everything. And it's like, really, you want a short, violent encounter, do you? Just as opposed to a long, curvy influence. And Trickster says, we don't really care what you humans do. We care the manner in which you do it, that it comes from freedom and choice. To expand our repertoire of responses is to ally with nature's evolutionary genius. And so we go, all right, so there's that dynamic. So Chiron then goes on a journey throughout antiquity, and he founds these cultural centers that really existed, called Asclepions. And these were cultural centers, I've been to the ruins of one, where people went at a time of like, whoa, no certainty, of dedication. We're going to come back to power of dedication, especially now. They would dedicate to having a healing dream for themselves and their community. They get chanted down into the dream incubation chamber. You know, they'd have a powerful dream. We have records. And then they knew, because it was common sense at the time, that they would only have the power of their dream, the power of their inner insight, once they'd given outward creative expression to this inner experience. So they would write a poem or participate in the play or plant a tree with intent, with dedication. And having done that, they'd go back to their communities as seed Renaissance people. That all really happened. And just to, you know, all the stories are welcome. So my friend Deborah Falmouth, who lives in Syria and Vermont, right? So she said, you know, in the West, we think of the future in front of us. In the past, who cares? She goes, in the Middle East, it's the reverse. We're gazing at the past in front of us. It's fun to try that. Future, invisible. And we're crafting the future by gazing at the caravan of our past mentors, not just humans, right? And so I also want to bring into play this realm of participatory animism. We have endogenous receptors to that. And I like to say animism, it's not a belief, it's just good manners. So I lived with an actual coyote for 19 years, 2 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days. It was a worthy experiment, evolutionary assistance to both of us. Coyotes, we've taught dogs shame. Coyotes, no shame. It's wheel and deal. How about this? How about that? And when I first began living with Stella Coyote, I had a Lakota elder on the radio show that I do, that Danny's been on many times, the Visionary Activist Show. It's Critique and Solution for 26 years on KPFA, holy moly, right? So I had the Lakota elder on and he goes, coyotes, nothing smarter. And then he said, you know, we Lakota did not hunt alone. Those gifted, and I want us all to feel the possible resonance of traditional memory. He said those gifted could go into a trance and negotiate a working alliance across species borders. And we would all hunt together with the wolves and coyotes for a season. And if you want to destroy the earth and destroy our culture, have people forget that or mock it. So now is the time to remember all of our skills. Again, maturity, to have access to all of our skills that we want to play with. So one of the things that I like, and that I'll be kind of encouraging us to start and continue these practices as an experiment, you know, is to kind of feel that, you know, we might have been one of those people who goes backstage, a sacred place, excuse me, you know, and emerges and goes, it took a while. It was like buying a carpet in the Middle East, you know, but we got a deal. The coyotes want the front left leg of every other deer. The wolves are cool with that. We're cool with that. And the deer are cool with it back on stage. You know, when we reference the invisible and the work, you know, done, and we are decolonizing our minds in so many ways. But we go, I always keep a reference to New York Times Science article that said scientists discover that beneath and around every river is an invisible river, teeming with microorganisms, but invisible. And then it said scientists have further discovered that the health of the visible river depends on the health of the invisible river. And we go, well, this is, you know, metaphysics 101, and science as well. We're at this time where science is proving folklore on so many levels, including entheogens and things that we'll cover all over the place. But so, yeah, and so that idea of saying we as a species, as a rogue species, have unleashed so much cataclysmic suffering rolling at all of our kin. And so in the spirit of Coyote, to experiment with going, oh, fire, we have been most rude. Is there some way we might negotiate to make some of what's coming at us metaphoric rather than literal? And what I'm thinking of, you know, Edgar Cayce was a real psychic, Pisces, Kentucky. And he predicted in the 1940s that in 1970, the East Coast would be deluged by a great tidal wave. And what we got was Watergate. Right. So it's like, can we move it into the metaphoric realm? Metaphors are the incarnational garb whereby power enters the world, the idea of, powerful metaphors. And so that idea of saying, oh, water, we have treated you with tremendous disrespect. Is there some way we can negotiate? To hold sacred. And in the spirit of Coyote Trickster, the rest of our beings say, well, what are you humans putting on the table? What's your vow? And right now, the planetary movements, we have Saturn, are insourcing our authority in Pisces, the whole realm of water and dream time, and it says there's nothing more important right now than for each of us to wonder, what is our primary dedication? And I'll say that and translate it, Saturn has a beautiful quintile, a 72-degree angle to Uranus, nature's evolutionary trickster genius. And it says our dedication is our freedom. And again, these two parts of us, Saturn is a part of us that is excellent at defining things and taking vows, but it's terrible at, well, how are we going to do this impossible thing? And we go, Saturn's job in all of us is what? Uranus and Jupiter say cooperators are standing by. Will do how? Do common sense things, in myriad ways that we're all going to cover, but not to let the compelling illusion of realism be an imaginative impediment, because trickster synchronicity, so as to entertain possibilities that we're all moving into a field. Everything's trying to help out the dunderheaded humans. We're moving into a field of expanded serendipitous synchronicity according to our dedication. So if we entertain that possibility, then what's the quality of what we all want to connect with? I had the great good fortune to interview Janine Benyus, founder of biomimicry and green chemistry. And it's the sine qua non of life on this planet that humans humbly cooperate with nature's guiding design genius. TED Talks, million things to check out. But I asked Janine, I said, what is this biological term, vertical integrated hierarchy? And she said, oh, it's this beautiful thing in nature. It means everything in nature contains the plan of the larger thing it's a part of. And this is what makes for nature's ingenuity, resilience, and self-assembling. And she said, a tendon in our arm is made of twisted bundled sticks, and each one is twisted bundled sticks, and each one is, micro, fractal, fractal, fractal. So she was happy for me to take scientific fact and turn it into our guiding strategy metaphor. As we dedicate inwardly, we strengthen our outward signal. So we're more likely to be danced into place with our allies, our accomplices, and that's why it is great to gather now. And in the chart of now, and I'll be showing these on our Saturday, but we have 2 fire planets, 3 earth planets, 4 water planets, 1 air planet. The 1 air planet is Pluto. It's death and intensity and mission that lightens our heart. So Pluto has just moved into Aquarius, dipped its little toe there. It's been in Capricorn for the last 9 years, stressing all of the systems that are not dedicated to community well-being. Condos built on sand, healthcare systems insufficient. And then it moves into Aquarius, and what, Danny and so many are dedicated to, so that community, but community defined as everything, all the beings, cooperating with everything. It's as though, backstage, all the creatures on the planet are going, what are we going to do about the humans? We got to either kill them or heal them. Let's do both. We know as a scientific fact, the virologists just say it as fact, and we know it in our hearts, that disruption of the ecosystem unleashes viral storms. When will the pandemic end? When humans quit despoiling the earth. That's just a fact, right? So, it's sort of time to be grown up. But But Pluto in Aquarius says, well, we do want, in an age of ingenuity and, free energy discoveries, we don't want Elon Musk to own free energy, right? We want the community, mutual aid, reciprocity. Symbiotic mutualism is a great phrase of what nature does, this incredible generosity and reciprocal support. And then just, I don't want to go on too long because we've got lots of things. You can cut me off, Scott, at any point, but just a little smidge too. Saturn in Pisces trines Mars in Cancer. Mars is our woofiness, it's our yang, and it's in Cancer, and we want to decolonize all languages. In astrology, the grumpy, colonized part would say Mars in Cancer is in its fall. We go, because yangness in Cancer, protecting life, is weak. No, we're changing that. So my buddy Robert Bly years ago said, the loneliest person in the world is the man after industrialism, where he's got to leave the babies and the land and separate that land, and go to like an office or a factory. We're revisiting some of these forks in the road. And a wonderful friend, Sean Patrick O'Donoghue, said, at that same time where we're losing contact with the land, Western humans have caffeine, tobacco, what would be the other thing, and clocks, right? We didn't use clocks before, it's caffeine, chocolate, sugar, right, and clocks coming in, going, whoa. So now we have productivity time, and just a little bit, Mars is also kind of testosterone. And Sean Patrick O'Donoghue says many natural places for testosterone. Pine bark. He said, pine bark, if you're going to the gym and you want to build muscle mass, no matter what gender you are, pine bark tea, really effective. And he says, testosterone is not necessarily aggressive. It woofs whatever social game we're engaged in. If we're engaged in a social game that rewards aggression, it's like, whoa. He says, but if you give testosterone to, wrathful dakinis or Tibetan Buddhists, they're more energized in peace and goodness, right? So it's like it's a neutral, interesting thing. And so to us, then it says, oh, well, then what we got to do is change the game. James Carse has a brilliant book called Finite and Infinite Games. Finite game about winning, infinite game about keeping everything in play. And so to encourage, the positive yang in everyone, to be tending and caring, and many other fun things that we'll play with. Just the last little bit, I love Terry Pratchett's novel, I Shall Wear Midnight. I use it as a political guide during the last election where much good magic has been afoot. And in it, the cunning man has come to town and created mob mind, which is the rough music that draws on the worst of humans to pick up the stick, to do the mean thing, to be possessed in a way. And the young girl witch must dissolve the power of the cunning man. This idea of collective mind, that pressure comes down and it erupts through the most thin membranes, and that there is no private crime. It's all belongs to the collective. I have a great client who's a forensic psychiatrist, and her job is to maintain kinship with the perpetrator. That's a whole other thing we'll be going into too, but saying it's all speaking to us, So I realized, in that book, it talks about the cunning man finds a foothold in those whose hearts are full of grievance and resentment and revenge. And that can be all of us, at any point. We go, I was saying, I don't have grievance. And it's like, oh yeah, little harboring things as well as the large things, And I been crafting this material for a while, and I go, right, the fate of the world requires humans dissolving grievance out of their hearts, right? It's an impediment, which is not the same as grief. Grief is love. Grievance is hatred, right? And so to dissolve that and to ladle out, my friend Pat, with whom we do a lot of political magic, run many campaigns and stuff. And she said, what is the antonym of grievance? And it's like, oh, good question. Because the authoritarian world feeds on grievance. It's like, oh, gratitude. gratitude is the antidote. And so to ladle out, gratitude. So there are many ways that we will.
Let's stick with that as our closing thought.
That's good. Thank
Because
you.
I'm a big believer in gratitude. People are just lighting up the chat box with how much they love you, appreciate. Definitely make sure you read that. And you can get a lot more from Carolyn Casey through her Coyote Network News. I'm a big fan of coyotes, to be honest, as long as he doesn't eat my dog.
You can make a deal.
I will do that. CoyoteNetworkNews.com, and she's got astrological readings and trickster training and radio show archives, and all things Caroline Casey can be found at CoyoteNetworkNews.com.
And radio shows for free.
And those amazing radio shows we've all been listening to for a very long time. A very long time. Caroline,
thank you
so much. We've got to have you on the show, just you, because
Danny,
we got to do that. We got to do that. And I'm going to bring on your buddy Ken.
I think it's great to have a Danny and Caroline, show, because I think they could fill it. I have a feeling.
I agree. We should do a show, just the Danny and Caroline show. I'm going to write to both you guys and make that happen. I think it's a great idea.
Right.
All right. Hey, I want to thank you both. I want to thank Ken. I want to thank our other co-host, Maria Love. And Maria Love and I are doing an entire show together on April 26th, along with Geraldine Orozco, all about epigenetics. And Maria is then going to be doing a very powerful workshop for people. So make sure put April 26th into your calendar for a very special edition of the Awakening World. Hope to see all of you tomorrow for our Secret Sunday show, but we will close as we do with Omushar. He is the Alpha and Omega of our show. All things begin and end with this man and his music.
I am that I am, and thank you so much, and thank you, Carolyn. I loved your what I felt from you. Thank you so much. A lot to digest, and so let's use this song called "The New Road" to digest it with. Okay, here we go. And here we go.
Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart, be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. Just look at us now, waves of inspiration filling our lives with boundless joy. We're speaking our truth, basking in the pure light, freeing the way with all of us. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart, be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. We're here on the new road, where air is so much clearer, creating a world of ecstasy. was his true love, filling empty spaces, rejoicing the word unity. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart, be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart, dance with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart, be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so.
Woohoo! Wow. Considering the show in 3.5 hours, I love how everybody was up and dancing and moving. Omashar, you got the magic, partner. You got the
And grooving. I know it's nice to be the icing on what was already the icing.
It was an amazing show. Absolutely amazing. So thank you, all of our presenters. Thank you, all of our wonderful Zoom roomers. And get a good night's rest because we've got a great Sacred Sunday, Easter Sunday show for you. So make sure you join us tomorrow morning. Take care, everybody. I'm going to go to gallery review one last time so you can all wave goodbye. And thank you. It's just been an amazing show. Beautiful night. And we will see, hopefully, many of you at the New Living Expo next weekend. Take care, everybody. Good night.